Okay. And we're on.
All right.
Kyle Sanderson.
Hey, man.
We were just you're just telling us about the derivative of your last name.
Yeah. Okay, so I changed my name. I guess it was like a year or 2 years ago now. And it wasn't originally, to like spite my birth father or anything, but that is some kind of has something to do with it. So he doesn't know who his father is, and he just kind of found this out. It's this weird thing where he always kind of had like the sneaking suspicion that his father wasn't his father. He grew up in Boston, and that part of my family is from Boston, and Lynn, and so he, when he was growing up in the 60s, very Catholic area in the 60s, his parents were technically divorced, but you're not really allowed to be divorced in the 60s in Boston.
Oh.
And so his parents were separated, my grandparents, I guess it would be, and the father was Joe Shanahan, and the mother was Carol Fawcett, and she remarried when my dad was very, very young, and maybe 3 years old or so, and those two have been together since then. But he always had he kind of had daddy issues because of this, Mm-hmm. So like he has one sister. His sister was from my from Joe Shanahan and my grandmother, and he always thought that he was, but Joe Shanahan said he wasn't. He was like, "You're not my kid. I'm sure you're a great kid, but you're not mine. This is why your mother and I got divorced or separated or whatever." And he never really accepted it. And at that time, to be in that situation, you were literally referred to as a bastard. Yeah. And he's always had a problem with that word since then. And he just had so many issues stemming from that. Like when he was like 17 or 18, he got wasted and went to the guy's house and tried to swing on him and got the police called, and then he went out and he was like, well, whatever, fuck this guy, I'm going to make something of myself. And he broke into someone's garage and stole a lawnmower to try to start a landscaping company. Yeah. Right? So this is like the way he was 17, and he was drunk, so whatever. So he did that, he got caught, and he got charged with breaking and entering. He got convicted of a felony, and he's been a felon ever since. I mean, all just stemming from this shitty situation. Trying to find out whose dad was. Yeah, I know. It's sad. It's a drag, and he definitely has some personality disorders because of it. I don't know if it's from that or whatever, but he's definitely got some serious trust issues. Seems like kind of bipolar, and he could never get a straight answer from his mom on who his real father was.
Right.
And she actually maintained until about 5 years ago that that was the father, and the guy just wasn't admitting it. So he was like, look, I'm going to get a DNA test with Kelly, my sister.
Right.
And we'll see. And he did. And they were half brother and sister. So clearly different father.
Right.
So she was like, she broke down when he told her that, and she was like, whenever I look at you, I see him, the father.
Yeah.
She said it was this Greek guy who she went on a date with after Joe left. They went on a few dates. She got pregnant. Then he was like, I have a family. Like, didn't tell her that as they were dating. And he had a whole family, kids, God. Wife, all this shit. So crazy. Yeah, so she was pregnant with my dad, and she was alone. She almost drank herself to death. She had to be institutionalized. And then his stepdad came along and kind of helped out, and I mean, in the 60s to step into a family like that. I mean, it's difficult already to step into a family with children that aren't your own, especially from a guy's point of view, I think. But
yeah, that definitely is. I think about that now, being older.
Yeah.
And having a stepdad.
Yeah.
It's like
good on them.
Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of that where it's like it's definitely a different variable. Like, I mean, because I know a lot of friends now, they're like, oh, if a girl has a kid, it like seems like there might be a deciding factor for them sometimes. But I also have a lot of guy friends where they're like, they've just stepped up to the plate, like on a crazy level where they're like, all right, no, I'm gonna
Like,
be,
this is my kid.
yeah, or I'm just gonna be an exemplary man in this kid's life.
Yeah, that's what my stepfather did.
Yeah.
He totally did that exact thing, and he's definitely a better parent than my birth father was, and he's like one of the best examples of what a man should be that I've ever had. And I mean, God, just to try to live up to what he's done is difficult, but
that's awesome that you have a man like that in your life.
Yeah, it's lucky because I had such a negative father figure for so long, and he really, I mean, I've still got some, like relationship issues. Like I've kind of realized, I'm married now, but I've realized, like, through counseling and stuff, that I don't really know how to conduct myself really, I mean, not effectively, but I don't know how to conduct myself properly in a relationship to where, long-term sustainability comes easily.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, and not that a relationship like a marriage is ever easy. You have to work at it, and probably more so than when you first meet someone, because after the infatuation kind of fades, it's just more work. But so anyway, so long story short, he doesn't know who his dad is. He thinks it's this Greek guy. I got my DNA tested like 10 years ago with not 23andMe, the other one, Ancestry.
Right.
And there's no sign of any Greek DNA anywhere. So she's fucking lying still,
God.
Or she just doesn't know. Maybe
yeah.
she just didn't know. And she's still alive, actually. My grandmother's still alive on that side. She's really old, but we kind of assume she's going to just take it to her grave. He's never going to know who his father was.
Wow.
And I don't talk to him anyway. I haven't spoken to him in about 2 years. And so I changed my name because he's not related to Joe Shanahan.
Right.
There's no Shanahan blood in me at all. He wasn't raised by Joe Shanahan, I never met the guy. Like I have no connection to this name.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't either, other than this whole horrible negative situation that he went through.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm breaking that cycle. Fuck that name,
Yeah.
And I took my mom's maiden name, which is Sanderson. And I'm actually a lot closer to that side of my family anyway.
Yeah.
They're all from Cleveland, and they're all really, really great people. Really, really great people. Like the best family I could ever, hope to have. Like there's no, weird dysfunction or anyone that you try to avoid or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're all great in their own right. And we're very close. So
Dude,
that's cool.
I really appreciate you opening with that, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, that's like kind of relevant for like some of the stuff that we've been kind of talking about. I mean, maybe not even just on here, but just like a lot of friends lately, like about like breaking that ancestral DNA, if you will, that we like all get assigned. And it's like you're figuratively doing it. You're literally changing the name. You're like, all right, and that changes the mindset. It probably must have felt pretty interesting that once that was legally changed.
Yeah, you definitely play out what your name suggests. I really think that people kind of develop the idea of themselves with their given name. I think kids should be able to choose their name when they're 18.
Right.
You shouldn't even name them. If that was an option, that's what I would go for my kids. But
for me, Loving, I get one option.
Yeah. Brett Loving. My best friend's name is Brett, actually.
Oh, that's funny. I don't meet a lot of Bretts.
No, he doesn't either.
Yeah.
And actually, I just another Brett just signed on to Grindstone with me, and so now I know 3. And for my whole life I only knew 1. But
that's funny.
But yeah, like my name Kyle. Like there's a George Carlin bit where he's talking about the old school names, Jackie, Joey, Tommy. They'll beat the shit out of Kyle and his friends 9 times out of 10.
That's so funny.
I mean, it's like he says, soft names make soft people.
Yeah.
And God, I really feel like there might be something to that, because
no, dude.
No, you don't think so? You don't think your perception of yourself kind of dictates, like
well,
when you find out your horoscope? You
Yeah.
know, I think when people find out their horoscope, there's subtle things that they see about themselves, and then the ways they conduct themselves are more in line with what they think their horoscope
for sure
is,
But I know some behemoth Bobs, that are just powerhouses,
Yeah.
or Garys. I know a Gary that is just a machine, like literally a living legend. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a tougher name.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But I have a friend Kyle that is like, it's really shown resilience and just really is tough in like his own right. You know, I've seen him go from the bottom, but this is within the last 5 years, from the bottom of the bottom to like literally being at the top of, I mean, maybe not he's still working on spiritual self and things like that, but I see him putting in the work on a daily basis. I mean, he's probably one of the more resilient people I see doing the work. And, you know, I feel like I know quite a few savage people, and he dresses not like a savage. He dresses like he wears loafers and the designer this and that. And he's totally that guy. And that's why I love him, because at the other end of it, he's got a savage living inside of him. Like he's a beast. And he's shown like real resilience. So I think that a lot of things are being highlighted right now is that what we consider soft sometimes, like there's also resilience. Like people are sometimes soft for great reasons because they've seen the other side of like craziness. You know, some of my friends that have, you know, gone overseas, they're some of the softest guys I know in some regard.
Yeah, and just being soft doesn't mean you're weak. It means you can bend. It means you can let things flow through you. Yeah. And that's often more that's tougher to me, you know, to be able to really not just have to shut things out and you know, put on this like facade of I'm a tough guy. You know? That's that's so obviously weak, you know.
Well, it's been the first time in a long time, I think, in human history to where, you know, it's not all about just being tough. And we still live in a society where you're even like, we're two guys and you're still thinking that being Kyle isn't tough, and what that has nothing to do with your worth. You know what I mean? And like in yourself and this like this ethos of earth, like because tough is one thing. Like I mean, you're a business owner. We should probably tell people why you're even here, first of all.
Oh yeah.
So you own Grindstone Donuts in Sag Harbor.
Yeah, Grindstone Coffee and Donuts.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, no, it's they really are equal parts, even though the donuts kind of do get more of the attention. The coffee, though, we roast our own coffee. We roast right in Sag Harbor, and it's all organic. And you know, just like with everything we do it, you know, to the highest level that we can possibly get. And you know, we get our coffee imported through Royal, New York, and it's roasted and then brought to the shop, you know, within like 2 days. Yeah. And that has actually become like the more interesting side of it to me. Right. You know, once, you know, getting into the donut, like originally I wanted to just open a coffee shop. Right. But once we found the space, I wanted to open in East Hampton because there was nothing out there for coffee except Starbucks.
So see, even just that though, like I know you've been in business for a few years now, like, right?
It's been like 5 years.
5 years. Yeah. So that's resilience, dude.
Yeah.
You've gotten married. Right, you are running a business, and you know, like you said, you look for a location in East Hampton, and then now you're ended up in Sag Harbor, and that location seems pretty epic, quite honestly.
It is. It's kind of, when we jumped in there, it was kind of, I mean, like Sag Harbor was always pretty popular, but it was like it really started like blowing up that year. Yeah, you know, we got in like right at the right time, which seems to be kind of a theme to my experience out here. Like I only moved here 6 years ago. Yeah. And then
from where?
From Cleveland.
Oh, you did move from Cleveland?
Yeah.
So many people from Ohio.
There are. It's like we have our own, like how there would be like a Vietnamese community somewhere. There's like a Clevelander community, I swear.
Is there out here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even mean like that. But
it's
I mean,
wild.
I mean, even just like people that are doing things and like kind of moving and shaking, and like so many people from Ohio. I mean, even just like in LA, people that are like in the entertainment business and whatnot.
Well, it's you know, it's not the greatest place, and it's a depressing place as far as the weather goes. Right. It's very, very overcast like most of the year. Yep. And that makes you want to kind of makes me want to strive for something more. Totally. You know? Like you know, you don't get complacent. Yeah. You know.
But it also seems like it's well civilized enough to where it's like it opens your eyes to what is possible, and then it's like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Let me go live my life somewhere.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity there because everything's so cheap. Right. Like when we go there, it's like, I mean, it's, you know, it's vacation, but it's like really like normally when people go on vacation, they spend more money than they do back home. Right. Because they're going to, you know, a resort area or something like here.
Dinner and this and that.
We go to Cleveland for our vacation, so like everything's half as much. It's amazing. I know. Man. Like we're feeding our whole family for $40 a night. And it's like, seriously. Holy shit. Like, I feel like we live in an airport or something most of the time. Like they just make their own prices out here, and I'm guilty of it too. But it's like we all have rent to pay and mouths to feed, and
Yeah, it starts at the top, with in that regard.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so this is what I realized when I was out there. This was just last week. So it's great.
When you were in Cleveland.
Yeah, I just got back, and I was just seeing some family and stuff, and we were actually going out there for my wife's birthday. I took her to Cedar Point, which is a huge roller coaster park with like 30 roller coasters.
Oh, cool!
It was awesome. But what I kind of realized is what's great about a place like that is there's so much opportunity because everything's so cheap. Like anyone can take the risk of starting some goofy business out there when your rent is $400 a month. Mm-hmm. And they do, man. There are like just so many awesome, weird niche restaurants and boutiques and stuff that you just could never find out here because the risk is too great. There's just, or it just would be unsustainable. You can't, there's some of these concepts you just really can't make enough to sustain in a place like this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to experience. But the downside is that because there's no economic filter like there is out here, you get a lot of shit too. There's like a lot of shitty people out there, man. Yeah. There's like anyone can afford to live there. So and I'm not trying to sound like a classist or something. Like it's just different, especially when you've been out here for so long and everyone you come into contact with is educated or an artist or has some kind of like
pursuit.
Yeah, they're aiming for something, and like every single person, man, everyone I talk to is like doing something awesome out here, and that you have to.
Yeah,
it's like it's just part of being out here. You can't just be here, you
right?
know? So that was interesting. Like when I realized, like, damn, it's like there's a balance. There's a total trade-off. Like you don't get all this cool shit out here, but you don't get any of the negatives out here either, So I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think overall, I like it here better. But being able to go there for a week is cool and check things out, But by the end of the week, man, like when we were loading up our car or unloading the car at the airport, and there's a Subway employee sitting there in front of a no smoking sign, just smoking a cigarette and blowing it in my fucking baby's face. Like I was like, I'm done, man. Get me the fuck out of here. Get me back to New York where it's fucking civilized,
Yeah.
And I never even used to notice that shit. Like, I smoked for 10 years. I came out here and I was like, dude, no one's smoking. Like, I look like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like you totally look, you feel like you're encroaching on people when you smoke out here. In Cleveland, it's like everyone fucking smokes.
Yeah. One of my biggest pet peeves is like when you're driving down the road and you see somebody flick their cigarette out the window. I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And that person's probably preaching some bullshit.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
some fucking bullshit.
Right.
God, that shit just makes me so mad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know. Same thing from like even back where I'm from. It's
Where are you from?
Kalispell, Montana.
Oh, really?
So like, it's like close to.
I was always
National
interested
Park,
in Montana.
Whitefish.
It's cool.
Yeah. So, but it's similar there. The difference of there is there's everything to do and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's literally just like a pristine area, and people there will probably be mad that I even talk about it. But
yeah, I was gonna say the animals outnumber the people like 30-1 or something.
I think there is more cows than people. That's probably still real. But the high school that I went to was 3,500 kids.
Oh, really? That's huge.
Huge. Yeah.
Was it the only high school in like miles though?
No.
Like how that
I rode a horse to school.
Yeah. You had a gun locker.
Yeah. Legitimately, like people in high school, like they'd have guns in their back window. They wouldn't park in the student parking lot, but they would have guns in their back window. That was like a very normal thing growing up, honestly.
Yeah, it's a different place though.
Yeah, it's super different.
Very rural. I mean, there are areas. I mean,
yeah.
Sure. I mean, I know at the University of Montana there are gun lockers in the dorms, in some of the dorms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It is, but it's not because look at how much gun crime is there in Montana?
Probably
it's
not
New York. It's not the same.
Yeah. I will say we had a neighbor that actually mistakenly shot his somebody in his family. that was wearing all brown. He's like, I thought he was a deer. He like told us the story. We're like, what?
You thought he was a deer?
He thought this guy was a deer. He killed like someone in his family. It was like a real loose story. Like even
Killed?
still, and then as an adult now, I'm like, do we know about that story? About like, have we checked in with so and so? Like, what the fuck?
That's so unbelievable. Thinking someone is a deer,
dude. There's a really crazy story of this guy that had moved there. Or was like hunting from like out of state. I think he was hunting from California, and he shoots. He's on an elk hunt, so he's shooting an antlerless elk. Apparently, he's what he was going for, and so he shoots a cow elk, and takes it to like the game station, like where they check to like check your tag and see what you've harvested. So that way they can check with like the fish and game. That's how they figure numbers, and that's how they manage wildlife.
Everything. Sure.
And so he comes pulling into the check stop like, oh yeah, out of stater, got myself a cow elk and did the hunt, and pulls into the check station. They're like, this is a llama. This is a fucking llama, dude. It like made the news. It's like a fucking llama. And so yeah, he had like gutted it.
Where do you even find a llama?
So that's the other thing that they found out. So then
was he at the zoo?
No, so people have them out there for like packing, to go on hunts and stuff like that. But what was even crazier, like, all right, well, where did you shoot this cow elk there, fella? And so he like takes him back, and like he had shot it on the other side of a fence, drug it under a fence, and then like did everything wrong.
Got it off someone's property,
dude. So yeah, like
wow.
That's the kind of thing that like ruins hunting for so many people. Like that.
Yeah,
it's just, like,
I mean, I guess with any high number of things, there's going to be incidents like that.
I mean, you're going to get
how many thousands of people are hunting in Montana every year.
I guess there's now like a number for so many elk shot. There's going to be a llama as well.
Yeah, there's a ratio llama to elk. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Man.
Yeah, so I mean, he did the whole thing, tagged it, field dressed it, brought it to the station, was so proud that it was like what the report said. It was just so comical to me.
I can't believe this guy shot someone in his family, like
the other
thinking
guy.
It was a deer. Yeah, were they like in his yard, like bending over and like gardening or something?
No, they're out hunting deer.
Oh, and
then he just boom, blasted it was probably some other weird
like a
shit.
Dick Cheney incident.
Oof, right? Some sketchy shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, fella.
Or like that. Who was that guy that shot his wife through he thought she was an intruder.
Oh God.
And he was like an athlete. I can't remember who it was, and he was like an Olympian or something.
Dude.
And thought like his wife was in the bathroom with the door closed, and he just like lit it up. And I can't remember if he got off for that or not.
She died.
But she got killed for sure. But he was like, yeah, I thought it was, an intruder in my house, and like then they found out that he was actually just a total asshole with guns.
See, my first instinct on that is like, that's like the concrete boots.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just thought she was an intruder.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, it's just there's too much weirdness.
You don't shoot through a door, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't see what you're shooting, like you don't, even in a self-defense situation, you don't shoot through a door. That's just asking for trouble.
It's crazy. I mean, this is why I'm such an advocate for people doing some sort of martial art or being able to handle themselves. I mean, this maybe comes into like where toughness is like a real thing. Maybe not so tough of like, oh, I'm tough in this other regard, but there's so much to be said for people that can handle themselves and not have to lean on a gun. I mean, look, I don't really know where I stand with guns anymore, honestly, because it just seems that a lot of people that I know that even have guns are so fucking out of control with them. It's like, what do you need that thing for? Like, you don't need to shoot this thing once. Like, okay, cool, it's fun, I get it, but like, yeah, I think people should have guns to hunt, and I think that people should be like, it is our freedom, it is our right. I get that, but you don't get in a car without learning how to drive a car. Literally, I've gone and bought a gun before, and there's no instructions. You just walk out with the fucking thing. I didn't know how to put the ammo in it. I'm like, and I'm from Montana. Yeah. And I'm like, well, where does this go, and how does it actually? So you have like these whole like first moments with a thing that could take somebody's life, and no one's even shown you how to use the mechanics of it.
Yeah, it does seem like there should be some kind of initial training or something.
There should be 1,000% some sort of course or something that even when you buy, because I'm telling you, I deal with a lot of mechanical things. I'm working on machines.
You're good with your hands.
Yeah. I'm good with my hands. I know how things work, but there's times when I'll get like a new weapon and I'm like, where's the safety? How does this fire? And there's like a moment of like me figuring it out for the first 5 minutes, even, let's say, before it's like if I wasn't so versed in keeping the muzzle down range and making sure I'm being very safe with it, that thing in the wrong hands, somebody's swinging around. Almost every time you hand somebody a BB gun, they point it in your face, not even knowing, so...
Yeah, man, people are dumb with guns. People are dumb. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Guns exist and people are stupid.
Yeah.
So, you can't... put those things together and expect not
I know.
to have bad situations.
Yeah.
I think, it's so, like, guns aren't going anywhere, especially in this country.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not. So the best thing to do would be, advocating for responsible handling.
Yeah.
Or really just advocating for people being responsible in general.
Right.
Because that's like kind of the base of it.
Yeah.
If you're just an irresponsible piece of shit,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you have a gun or a car
Yeah.
or a knife or whatever. Like, people are going to be assholes.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and I think the same thing. I mean, people, you give them anything, you give them a car. There's actually, I was on a program once before where we would do this like driving school for people that were like, I think there was 16 to 18. And it was like a whole driving experience where you bring people onto a track, you let them drive Corvettes and a bunch of different vehicles. You teach them how to drift.
Like these
like
would be
legitimately
high-powered
vehicles.
Yeah.
Also
assault vehicles.
Yeah, and basically get people well versed behind the wheel to where they would be able to be sufficient in any sort of situation, for one, but also once you like get the awareness of a vehicle and you understand like what actually an accident maybe feels like, they would do like a pit maneuver, like where they get spin each other out, even in like these like fake cop cars. Once you get to do that at a very young age, you're like, oh, okay, this is some real force here. This is a real, it's a really big responsibility that I'm behind the wheel of this thing. How crazy is it that we go down the highway 80 miles an hour,
2,000-pound things, like just
within
cannons
3 feet away from each other?
Yeah, no, it's insane.
And no one jerks the wheel.
If you think about it too hard, oh man, I'll be driving down the street in my more like nihilist moments. I'll just be like driving, and like, all it takes is that.
It's it.
That's it. Like I could go into oncoming traffic, both going 80 miles per hour, and that would be it.
Yeah.
Like that would be it.
And how does not I was thinking about the other day driving, I was like, thank God there's like a divider or something.
Yeah.
Because like, but you go out west and it's just like, you're just like, everyone's going.
Oh man, yeah. I drove with my buddy we drove a car back from California through historic 66 and back up to Cleveland.
Oh, cool.
And
that's actually a really cool route.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, people, the difference between the regions, like between the Northeast and the Southwest, is that people do not fuck around in the fast lane.
Right. Yeah. No.
You
for
know
sure.
that. I mean,
people are like, let me get over.
On the list of things that piss me off, that is like way close to the top. Like just hanging out in the passing lane. I mean, you're starting to see signs around here. Oh, it's huge, dude. People are so fucking unaware.
It's unbelievable.
As soon as you get like past the Mason-Dixon, it's like everyone's just hanging out in the fast lane. Yeah. And I actually, my parents have a friend who is a hairdresser around here, and she like grew up on Long Island, and she was like, it's my fucking car. I can do whatever I want with it. I can drive where the fuck I want. I'm like, that's what they all think. Yeah. That's how they all think. I get it. So they really are just selfish and don't give a fuck.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, out there, man, you can't get away with that shit.
I know.
Because I mean, there'll be a dude going 120. First of all, and like they will ride you, man. Like you'll get tapped if you're going if you're being an asshole. Like you cannot get away with it out there.
Most people have deer bumpers too.
Yeah, and you'll get pulled over for it too.
Yeah.
Like they really enforce that shit. Yeah. Which should be the case here, really.
Well, I mean, it's the flow of traffic. I mean, it's like that's like my mentality. Even like when I'm in the city, I'm like, I'm not doing a bunch of like illegal things just because I want to be an asshole. Like I'll kind of like move and like turn on things like just because I'm like out in the middle. You don't want to be like stuck in the middle of the intersection when the light changes. Like you want to be like efficient with the flow of everything. Yeah, that's like the mindset to be in. I feel like, and a lot of people are just kind of like just even on the way back over here to come meet you, I'm sitting at the stop sign. I'm like, there's no traffic. The lady's not pulling out, and then all of a sudden I look and she's like putting her phone down. She's smoking a cigarette. Her windows are up. She takes a big old glug of Gatorade. The Gatorade spills out either side of her mouth, and I'm like,
just doing all the things.
I just like floor it around the stop sign around her, and she's like, and then she goes like this.
Oh, look, you're an asshole.
I'm like,
yeah. Oh man,
I'm like, oh,
it's
not
summer
silly
anymore. It's not summer anymore.
It's so
but you
funny.
see that like in May, June, July, August, especially. Once it hits August, it's like it seems like out here there's a new breed of people that are just so unaware, like just no self-awareness, and really just fucking entitled. Not even in like the sense of like I'm rich and I'm entitled, but it's like they someone backed out of the gas station in Sag on 114, like backed out onto 114 and did like kind of like a 3-point turn just to get on into traffic, and like backed out into the street instead of turning around in the parking lot and driving out forward. And when I was sitting there with my buddy, and we're sitting there just like jaws on the floor looking at this fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And she fucking gives us the finger. What the fuck is that?
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, that is a perfect example of August out here. Like people being an asshole to you and then flipping you off.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it is. And actually that's kind of the point where I'm at now, where I just like
it's
look
straight
around
comedy.
You just have to,
dude.
Because if you don't look at it that way, you're gonna have a fucking brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, you're gonna freak out.
You're gonna stroke out, and they win.
Yeah, then they win, exactly. No, I die laughing every time I see anything like that. I'm like, hey, listen, hi. I never flip anybody. First of all, I'm used to people driving like idiots, so it's like I'm always just kind of like, oh, if this person pulled in front of me, let me go around them. I never really I don't really have any road rage in that regard. So it's like when I see people just bugging out, I'm like, holy shit, that person's got something terrible going on.
Man, we saw some road rage when we were in Cleveland. This guy was behind this woman that was going left at a light, and she didn't go when he thought she should have gone. And he was in this fucking like bright orange, kind of crossover SUV, and he was hitting the wheel so hard and screaming so hard at her that his whole car was shaking. Yes. We were just like, oh my God, I couldn't get my phone out fast enough to film it.
Well, I think people are amping right now too, because just like the times. I mean, like
election years freak people out.
Well, there's that, and I think, obviously people have been cooped up. Like, I still talk to people that people are still quarantining. I know this girl that's pretty close to my age. I'm 32, and she's like, I didn't even have a summer. She's like, I'm kind of mad at everybody for having like a summer, and I hear I've been being quarantined, and I'm like,
can't be mad at anyone but yourself.
I'm like, well, okay, I see where you're coming from, but you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah, you got to do the research and see what people are doing and kind of feel it out. Just like being in the flow of traffic. It's like you got to look. That's what I was doing, like with the shop. When COVID really hit, I
just want to highlight like your resilience of still being in business after being completely shut down.
Well, it's like
we're redefining the Kyle, I think.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's. I have a family, and they have to eat. And that's it. Like that. Yeah. It's like the only thing that I'm concerned with at this point.
Yeah,
I'm not. Obviously I'm not dating anymore, so I'm not concerned with impressing anyone. Mm-hmm. It's just about really my daughter right now. We're going to have another child, but, right now, like that is the most meaningful thing in my life, and it's the best thing for me to focus on. And that's awesome. Like, I feel so much. I feel like I'm in the right place when that is what my life revolves around, and not even just like this is the prescribed path and this is what you're supposed to be doing. Like not even like that. Like on a really deep level, like instinctual level. Like I feel like
that's epic.
Caring for your wife and child is like it's so natural.
Yeah.
Like it's really like there's something about it that really I can't even articulate, honestly.
Well, I admire that. I think that that's pretty awesome because it is instinctual. I mean, I think there is like an instinct to where that is your priority and to protect. Mm-hmm. So maybe that is your concern of tough a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to be tough to be able to withstand all of the shit that life throws at you. Yeah. And not tough in like a boasting way
like
or anything.
Arm wrestle you at Murph's.
Yeah. That's not even tough. That's just that's proving yourself to someone or to yourself or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. It's definitely, that's pushing a persona though. That's not what anyone should be interested in. There's better things to focus on than appearing tough.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, actually being tough is very different than appearing tough.
Yeah,
I think that's and I mean that people have a weird issue with masculinity.
Yeah,
and whether it's good or bad, and it can be both.
Yeah,
just like anything.
Every single thing has
everything.
Both.
Yeah, there's a balance in
thing.
anything.
Any good thing has both.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the exact opposite problem. People think because I've broken bones and raced motorcycles that I'm just like this very unbreakable thing. And I'm like, listen, I don't like
the bone's broke.
Like I'm not interested in breaking shit anymore. Like I mean I still am pushing it in a lot of ways. Like my life I am progressing, but I almost have the exact opposite. I'm like, hey, listen, fella. Like I was telling us a story last time about surfing, and it's just like I'll go surfing with friends and like, yeah, no, you're good, right? It's like me taking somebody to go ride a motorcycle for their first time and like riding the biggest motorcycle that they make, which would be like a 450, and then putting them on like an arena cross track or a supercross track, which is like very jumpy and steep jumps, and they would not stand a chance.
Right.
They could ride a motorcycle maybe down the starting line, and then the first second they hit an obstacle, they're gonna either get really lucky and roll around maybe a quarter or half of it, maybe, which would be the most lucky thing on planet Earth. But most likely they're gonna get decimated.
Yeah. You know? That's like you have to. Well, and that's the thing. You have to go through smaller versions of that,
right,
and fail in smaller ways before you can take on the big version of that, because if you fail in a big way, it's going to be way more detrimental.
Yeah. Thankfully hasn't been like, I've been nothing but crushed by surfing, like literally.
Really?
I have gone like surf like some whitewater stuff, like some like little longboard stuff, but I don't really consider that word surfing, even though some of my friends are like, no dude, you surfed. To me, surfing is like where you're like, it's at least kind of mini barreling, you know, like at least like there's some mini barrel, like at least like, I don't know, chest high, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that's like actually you're gonna kind of get thumped if you go down.
Yeah.
But, you know,
like there has to be some
consequence.
Yeah, some consequence.
Little consequence to it.
Yeah.
Like when it's like a little whitewater and it's like, you know, like everyone's out there, like a bunch of first timers out there. There's like a 4-year-old that's like getting pushed in on waves. I'm like, yeah.
That's interesting, because that like implies that there has to be some kind of intention to it. Like you're looking for, you know, a payoff in the sense that you're not going to be hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's cool that that you make the distinction between, you know, the wave height makes something surfing or not surfing.
Yeah.
You know,
it's something stupid.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
But yeah, it's like, so yeah, similar, like just like opposite thing. But I mean, dude, to even be, I'm a business owner out here as well on the East End, you know.
Okay.
So I own a company called Earthworks.
Oh yeah, I've seen your shirt. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like just to even be open right now, doing business, talking about doing stuff in the future, also kind of assessing what the future is, but everything's so hypothetical. It's like, why even make an assumption?
That's the thing.
You can't even.
You have to take the information that you have and make your and prepare as best you can.
Yeah.
Like I've been. It's such a dirty word, but like I've been a prepper for like the last like 15 years now.
Yeah.
Like since I was in high school, I was really into it. And prepping in the sense that like, you know, like FEMA recommends that you have a bag prepped for a disaster. Yeah. And I always thought that was such a cool thing. Right.
Why not? It doesn't have to be prepper-esque. It could just be like, how about you're just ready for action?
Yeah, it's not like I have, you know, a bunker with, you know, gas masks and shit. It's I have you know, a flashlight in a bag with some stuff that I can take.
A blanket,
if my family needs to like
water
take
purification.
Off.
Something.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's like what's so crazy, that people think that that's like a silly, or you must think a certain way, maybe even if you do that type of thing, because the truth of the matter is that we live in one of the only places where we can sit here with a table with donuts and headphones on and talk about what we think, right? And we know no one's going to come charging through the door. We know no one's going to come arrest us, or no weird shit's going on right outside the house. I mean, you know, there's obviously the anomaly.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're living in a pretty damn safe society.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
And not even just because we're out east. I mean, overall, like, America is a fairly safe place considering.
Very safe.
You know, I talk to people that are still, you know, in doing general contracting as far as like for special forces type work, and they're going overseas, and they're in, dude.
No,
you want to talk about they'll show me photos of like things that they're like seeing, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
I mean, I watch Live Leak every day.
There's even that. You know,
can't, like, I would not ever go to Brazil at this point. You know, Brazil and their gun crime is like just
my friend went down there last year for Carnival, and he watched a guy get straight up shot in the street.
There you go. Literally, I've never seen anyone get shot.
They said that he unloaded a clip on a guy right in front of him. I mean,
there you go. I mean, that's not here. That's and you know, a lot of people think there's a fucking gun violence epidemic here. And,
right.
I mean, there's not.
Yeah.
You know, not in that way.
Not in that regard. I don't. But I think there is obviously conversations to be had on all regards.
Totally.
Everything should be evolving and should be an open conversation
always.
forever.
Everyone should be aiming for something better.
Literally.
That's because you know. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Why the fuck wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, you want to stagnate? You want things to be as good as they are right now,
Yeah.
like forever? Like
No.
that's so stupid. Like everyone should always be trying to improve their situation
I agree.
and then their community situation, their family situation. Like you do those things for the betterment of yourself and in a selfish way, but it's, you know, the indirect result is that everyone else is brought up into that same situation, you know, and that's awesome. Like that's what it kind of goes back to what I was saying about people being out here doing that kind of shit. Like that is not the case in a place like in Cleveland, where, you know, a lot of people are, and rightfully so, but very nihilist and just like, man, things suck and they're never going to get better.
Yeah.
And like that might be true for those people.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, with that mindset, that's true for any people in any place.
Yeah.
That's happening right here too.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people that are from here that like literally like I think they get paralyzed by what's around them. You know, it's like you see like when your top is, you know, a house in Montauk with, you know, the cars and the this and the that and the place in the city and that's the top and that's like what the level of what achievement is. It's pretty hard to find to maybe want to settle into the middle, I think, for people. And that's just my like maybe empathetic view to like what they're experiencing, you know, because a lot of people be like, oh, fuck that trust fund kid or whatever, but I don't know, you can get paralyzed by that situation too. And I'm finding more and more that like what makes life breathable and livable is when you do have a purpose and you do have a thing. So when you don't feel like you have a purpose, I think it could be slippery for people. Yeah, and having a purpose is just having something that you're responsible for, and for me anyway. Yeah, and that or passionate about, which is the same maybe. Yeah. I mean, because if you're passionate about something, you like your art. For example, you know, you're responsible with your art. You're like you take it seriously. Yeah. And you work towards it and you put work into it and like you're always, I'm sure, trying to improve it. Yep. And that's a responsibility to your art. Right. And I have that, you know, with my business and especially with my family, and that has really like taken me from a total place of like nothing means anything to everything means everything. Yeah. You know, like completely changed how I saw things. And I'm honestly kind of annoyed with the fact that I don't know if it was just me and what I was paying attention to, but I mean, I think society is pushing people into a place of nihilism, and it's just it's sad, man. It's like none of my friends have families. Yeah. I'm 33. None of my friends have started families. Yeah. It's arguably one of the most important things of the human experience. Like every person that you're descended from for 2 million years, you know, has gone through this. Yeah. And has been around small children and watched them grow up, and then they take care of you when you're old, and it's a balance, just like anything important. Yeah. And there's something so crazy deep to it, and it's like I feel really I never want to like be like, dude, you got to settle down. I'm not, because I was not that dude. Like at 25, I was like in a punk band singing songs about how that shit didn't interest me. Yeah. Like seriously. Isn't it funny how we kind of run towards the things that we say we don't want? Yeah. That's like so relevant in my life right now. Really? Yeah, in a lot of ways. But like the fact that you're even sharing that, I mean, I think that there's a lot to say for that. I mean, I think a lot of people maybe don't feel worthy of being, you know, a parent, let's say, or we're from a generation of divorced parents. Well, there's that. I mean, my parents were divorced in first grade. But a lot of it is, I think, we're also learning so much about ourselves, about how we can like break that ancestral DNA and live these lives that we maybe want to live. And I think for a lot of people, they're very distracted by making it in New York. You know, they're really distracted by whatever that means to somebody. You know, a lot of people want to be seen here. Yeah, it seems like an attention thing. A lot of people want attention, need attention, and want to be famous in some way. And I don't know. For me, that's where it gets a little slippery for people. For me, like it's hard for me to even like go to an art show. Honestly, like I don't like the attention of that aspect. So what I really love is I love creating. And if I can do something to where I can create, whether it's even in my business, I'm constantly creating in that as well. So it's like when you have a passion and you're creating and you're working towards something, that's where I think that you exist in that space. And I think you start having maybe other thoughts of like creation, if you will. And, ultimately being able to create a happy, healthy human and share that with somebody and be in love, and that's Avatar, dude.
Yeah.
That's some straight up Avatar shit. To make a person.
Yeah. That's eternal life. You're passing on your information.
It really is a big deal. And, ultimately I think that a lot of us have been kind of disconnected because we're basically the same age. And, I talk to a lot of my friends and it's not even on their radar.
No.
But if I'm being honest right now, I definitely have like a primal sense that like maybe women talk about sometimes where I'm like, yeah, a kid would be interesting to like, entertain.
It's one of the most interesting fucking things I've ever experienced.
And
if
all
you're
my
at
friends.
all interested in brain development, psychology, evolution, seeing those things play out in front of you from day to day, watching language develop, watching sight develop. They're blind, for the first few weeks they're alive. Watching sight develop, seeing, I'm a musician, so I would play music to her at a very, very young age, seeing her face, experience the music before she even knew she existed. It is really something that people are missing out on, man. It's a fucking shame. And like birth rates are way down in this country. And people are demoralized. And it's like, this is the thing that can make you feel better. And I don't know why I feel like such an asshole for telling my friends that, but man, it's really not as bad as you think it is.
Well, people think their life is over when that happens.
We grew up on 90s sitcoms, like Married with Children, that said being married and having kids is the worst fucking thing, and then you're not free anymore. People want fucking freedom. You want freedom? Like you don't want meaning?
Right.
Dude.
And it's like they kind of depicted the picture of like what a dad looks like. It's like you tuck your shirt in now, and you comb your hair over, and it's like that doesn't have to be the dad. I mean, I remember looking at parents when I was younger, like that were my age now, and I'm like, I remember thinking they were adults. And now I'm like looking at myself and I'm like, I definitely am adulting on so many levels, but I'm also such a kid at heart.
Exactly.
I have so much fun. I do so much different shit.
And that's the best kind of dad, because I'm like, how the fuck are you going to connect to a child if you don't have some of that in you?
If you just have a millennium of time between the two of you, spiritually even.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I'm still very much a kid. I mean, big time. I play Magic with my friends and I play video games and shit, and I'm very childish in that sense. I'm responsible for things, but I mean, the fuck, there's no there's no prescription for being a successful adult anymore. It's like you do what you do to get by, and if at the end of the day, if you have a little bit of happiness, awesome. I
have a friend that worked with a gamer recently that was like 16 years old, and he was like, it was the most professional experience I ever had, because the kid sent me his assistant reached out to me. This kid makes $800-900 a year playing video games, testing video games, and he's like, this person reached out to me, and then the team came, and there was he had already created this installation for himself. There's already this team that he'd kind of built around himself, and it's just so funny. It's like what people have thought what success would mean and what it would look like. Even at a young age, I had a depiction of what I thought it was, and I would say in the last 5, 6, 7 years, even I've just kind of redefined that even for myself. Yes, I've had success and things have been successful, and at the same time, it's like I just try to be a fucking kid. And try to go do all the fun shit while I can, because ultimately this life is basically one giant experience.
It's a flash, dude.
And it is a simulation in the sense that you get to choose what experience you want to have and what you want to allow and what you want to participate in. So in that regard, it is a simulation, because you are in a game, and you're walking through life, and you're like, oh, do I want to go through that door? Yes or no?
Totally.
And if you go through that door, then you're on another vibe. It's
in the multiverse, it splits off the other way.
Exactly. And that's when you start getting into quantums, and then we go down a deep rabbit hole.
Man. I'm not sure. What do you think? So you say you feel like you're successful in what you've done. I mean, is that, to me, success is a constantly changing thing. It's like, I am successful, I'm kind of not, I kind of, in certain aspects I'm successful, in certain things I'm not, and that's why you have to continually try to improve and try to keep doing things. You know, and hopefully your successes outweigh the failures. You know?
Well, mine don't.
Yeah.
Mine don't.
Your failures outweigh the successes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
that
say
makes
yeah.
sense.
And quite honestly, the failures used to like really affect me, but now I'm like, okay, let me navigate.
Good. You have to fail.
You have to fail.
Yeah.
You failed.
Hell yeah, I failed.
We've all
Dude,
failed.
I dropped out of college twice.
Yeah.
Like that's failure.
Yeah. And I mean, I anybody that's partially alert and can hold a conversation has had failure in this regard, because you get humbled by that, and if you don't get humbled, I'm not saying that when I fail now that I just am completely inept and I just tune out and I'm like, oh, silver lining always, and I am for the most part, but it's like, I don't know, even like failing now at like stupid little things, even like practicing wheelies on a motorcycle, and it's like I'm not getting it, and I just go until like until either my arms are too tired or like maybe the bike's broken or what have you. So I think that, for me, failures definitely outweigh success, but I guess the way I define my success is the balance that I've created in my life, and not feeling stressed about life, and that's something that's taken me a really long time to not really feel like I've talked about, doing breath work and things like that. There's been things that have helped me to mitigate things that maybe get a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but it's never to the point where I'm like, I need to hit the sauce or I need to, have an aid of some sort. It's mostly just like, I don't know. I just feel like I have a even keeled idea of where I am and what I've accomplished and where I'm going. And I just try to.
You've got a plan. You feel prepared. You don't feel. Like
I have a plan, but not a perfect blueprint.
Yeah.
It's very.
It's fluid, right?
It's very fluid. I mean, because my plans change.
Which is good, because then you fail less.
Well, there's that.
If things aren't quite as defined as they possibly could be, then it's a little easier to kind of navigate and take advantage of things that pop up. Yeah. Like when COVID hit. We're a small business, so we were able to pivot very easily. Yeah. I'm sure a giant corporate, store like Target or something had a really difficult and expensive time with it.
Well, and I don't think it's obvious that a small business can pivot easy. I mean, I think it starts with the leadership. And how the people from the top are viewing everything and what their persona of the actuality is, and because that's where everything trickles down. Then the employees fall through, and you have like a resurgence of maybe new people that you had started to attract based on that like leadership quality. So
I was definitely when everything went crazy, like in March, when the food runs were happening and stuff, and the grocery stores and the toilet paper thing and all that shit. God, right? I know. When it really, I was following it from February, when it was still in China, and it was like, whoa, this fucking crazy, thing is happening in China. Hope it doesn't get here. And I was like, well, maybe it won't. Yeah. It might though. Yeah. So I got to think about this. Like, what's going to happen if this happens? So, and then it did happen. And I was mentally prepared for it, but we did change things. I had things in place, so like we didn't have to totally restructure. Like, just because I pursue things for the sake of pursuing them, just for constant, improvement. We had Uber Eats ready. We already were doing that. We had online ordering and pickup already. Yeah. Like all that shit was in place and people had been using it, and our website was up with all of that stuff, and when it looked like, people weren't going to be allowed in shops or people wouldn't want to go into shops, I got a webcam and had it on the daily selection of donuts, and had I put it on Instagram like, hey, here's a live feed of our shop. This is who's here. This is the precautions we're taking. We have a timer every 10 minutes. We're gonna go disinfect the whole shop. And I really, the first thing I did when shit really looked like it was gonna get bad was to look at the businesses that really came out on top after the Great Depression, because I knew this wasn't going to be a Black Death pandemic situation where everyone was dying, and even if it was, fuck the business. So the worst thing that could happen would be a really bad economic collapse kind of situation. So I was like, well, to prepare for an economic collapse, like what are the places that came out on top? What are the places that survived it? Because the businesses that survived the Great Depression were the ones that are still around today. Like they really proved and had staying power. And so the one thing that I read was that in times of depression, sweets sales go up. Chocolate sales specifically go way up because people want to feel better, you know, even if it's just from the endorphins of having some sugar, you know. And so that doesn't stop. So that was a good thing. People don't stop drinking coffee, but they will look for a better price. So I was ready to, you know, be competitive with the pricing, even with like 7-Eleven across the street. And just having a presence of normalcy, you know, like of just, this is a place that people can come into and feel like their life isn't upside down. And that was like, man, that was the move, because people told me constantly over March, April, May, June, you know, into the summer, like, this is the first place we've come since we got out of quarantine. We've been quarantining for a month. This is the first place we've gone because we see, you know, I'm assuming this, you know, they see all the precautions we were taking and just that, you know, we didn't make it feel like it was the end of the world when you were in the shop. You know, it was, you know, maintain your distance, have your mask on, but and we'll do the rest. And you're just here for your coffee and donuts, and don't worry about anything else. Just for a second. You know, just don't feel like you're dying. You know.
I remember when you guys kind of first started like opening the shop back up, because you guys were closed for a second, right?
I mean, as far as I remember, man. Well, I think we did location. For a week. We did curbside only, and that was it. You know, we didn't close for a day.
Got you. But I remember people like were, even Emily alone was like, you know, I'm so happy Grindstone's opened back up. Or, I guess you guys weren't even closed, but for some reason I guess I quit that you were.
I think a lot of people assume
that was recently when they closed after Labor Day.
Oh right, yeah. We every year we take a week off after summer. That's what it was. Well,
I'm talking even like, because I mean before there was nothing open in town, so I remember like people would go to you. I mean several people would like, at least Grindstone's open. Maybe I have it wrong.
That's true.
My story's a total bust.
That's true. It was like that. People were like, "Oh my god, at least we can do this.
At least we can get coffee." And
because it is an in and out thing. I put up the Ohio Governor Mike DeWine had a press conference where I took a clip and put it on our Instagram. He literally said, you know, if you can go in to a coffee shop, get a donut, walk out, that's fine. And I was like, yeah, man, yes, that's fine. Let's do that.
That's hilarious.
I mean, from his mouth. So, I mean, it really, and we gained a huge, a new base of customers because of that, you know, because we were offering this like sense of security for people, and it was quite an experience though. I mean, like I don't work in the shop, but when that happened, I did, because I was like, well, I can't tell my fucking staff to work during a pandemic without being up there myself. So every day I was up there opening in the front. Like as the face of the business, because holy shit, like there's no other time where you have to like take up that responsibility more than that. And like really, I mean, talk about being a leader. Like I couldn't, I mean, everyone that works for me, they're all my friends. Like, I mean, it's literally like my best friend from Ohio works for me. My cousin works for me, his girlfriend, one of my other best friends from Ohio that taught me how to cook when I got a job at his restaurant when I was 19 as a dishwasher. He works for me now, and I you know, I couldn't just be one of those guys. It's like, all right, just tough it out. Just, you know, I'll be in the office. You know, holy shit, like. First of all, no one would ever work for you if you were like that, or if they did, they'd fucking be stealing from you the whole time.
Exactly.
And just to be able to talk to the customers and really get the idea, like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're trying to do. Thank you for fucking braving this and coming in here and being face to face with another human, because I know we all need that. You know, it was, and man, they say that during really shitty times like that people feel the happiest. They look back on it as like 9/11. Every New Yorker was a New Yorker. Yeah. Like there was no division.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about here. It's like when there is something that's going down, it's people really do come together.
That's humans, man. Like during the Blitzkrieg in London, is the people for years after that said that hiding in the tunnels was the best time of their life. There was so much camaraderie. It's like people in the military when they come back and they're like, God, this is such a vapid, like meaningless existence out here. We don't have anywhere near the kind of like brotherhood that we had, when people were shooting at us.
All my friends have gone back.
Yeah,
all of
you
them.
have to.
Every single one.
Well, it's like when people were kidnapped by Native Americans and were in their society for a little while. When they got back, they fucking would leave.
Totally.
You couldn't keep them in our society.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So we're really missing out on something.
Yeah.
We're really there's like. There used to be, fraternal organizations, things like, Shriners and the Elks and all that shit.
That's so funny you say the Elks.
Yeah?
And my grandparents used to go to the Elks.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's an Elks Lodge in Southampton.
Is there?
Yeah, they just rent it out for parties and shit. They don't do anything.
God.
But there's Mason lodges all over the fucking place
those,
here, And that, I think, was a good substitution for that kind of tribal togetherness that people definitely still need, because it's not out of our
for sure.
What you think because 200 years ago we figured out how to burn coal, like we all of a sudden don't need
clean
that
coal.
Kind of shit. Yeah. Like it just there's so many things that we think that we're like, oh, we're better than that, we're smarter than that, we've outpaced that with technology, and that's why everyone's all fucked up.
Yeah. I think that's why a lot of people here volunteer fire department.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's a big thing around here.
Totally. That is the fraternal organization.
It is. It's a big thing. My brother and I actually went and checked it out one night.
Yeah.
They got the whole the upstairs is all it's a little funny. They got all the chairs and the big conference table, and the TVs everywhere, and the lockers, and they got a bar up there. So it's like,
oh, that's interesting.
It'd probably be pretty cool if you were doing it with a good group of your friends. Mm-hmm. But I remember even living on the West Coast, when I lived in Arizona and even in California, it's there's always something I'd be a part of. Even obviously I'd be racing motorcycles, but I used to play Australian rules football, and
it's very specific.
Well, yeah, it is very specific. But it was I never even heard of it when I first started playing. My roommate at the time back there had got me into it. But talk about just a brotherhood. Even with the other teams, a lot of times it was just obviously there'd be this division, but there was just so many. I don't know. I didn't really get to play that often, but it was just the little bit that I would go. It was people would just were so welcoming, bringing you in. It was a whole brotherhood. So I feel
yeah, I experienced that with my high school. I went to a private high school, private Catholic school, and I wasn't raised in that community. I wasn't raised Catholic or anything, and but I was getting jumped by a kid out front in my, I guess it was sophomore year maybe. I'd given his girlfriend a ride home the day before, and he found out, and he came up with his buddy, and I looked like such a fucking Catholic kid. I was doing a food drive. I was walking out of my school to do a food drive with some of my friends, and this kid came up behind me and just started pounding me in the back of the head and threw me up against a car, and I didn't even know what was going on. It was an instant tunnel vision. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it stopped, and I looked up, and I was what? Who are you? What the fuck are you doing? And I looked up, and the biggest, this is how I've always looked and dressed, and I didn't get along with everyone there because of that. But man, in my time of need, because I was wearing the uniform for the school, the biggest jock motherfucker in the school, this kid named JJ Boone. He was the biggest football player. Sounds like it, right?
Sounds like a beast.
Yeah, he was. and three of his friends, who were also the other three biggest kids in the school, they took this kid, picked him up, and power bombed him onto the cement.
Wow.
To the point where cars were stopping. They were like, let him go, thinking they were just beating up on this kid. But I mean, the kid was my size, and he just had no chance against these dudes. And then one of the football coaches came out, and he's like, don't hurt him, JJ.
Come on, JJ, put him down.
Serious, Ohio, they recruited this kid from Southern Ohio who's born with a fucking football in his hands, and
corn-fed.
Yeah, for real. And it was him, the captain of the rugby team, and then two other guys that were seriously 6'5", 250 pounds in high school.
Where's JJ Boone today?
Actually, I think he ended up.
Friends on Facebook?
No. His brother ended up in the NFL, Alex Boone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, he was my bully in school. He actually used to pick me up and throw me onto tables in like art class and stuff until my dad came by and was like, look, if you guys let this go on, I'm going to bring every fucking news media down here and tell them that you're letting the jocks beat up on the other kids.
Wow.
And so that stopped because they were like, you're not going to play football if this happens again.
Yeah.
So, but he ended up playing in the NFL. I don't know if he still is. He was an asshole though, man. He was like going to be a first round draft pick, and then he got into some shit, I think in college, and he was just a nasty alcoholic. Like he drink like 40 beers a night.
Yeah.
And he got up onto a cop car, and I think they had to tase him. They were trying to tow his car. That's what it was. They were trying to tow his car, and he tried to lift it off the hook or whatever. And I mean, he was a fucking monster. He was like 7 feet tall in high school.
Wow.
And
that's a terrifying monster bully to have.
Yeah, it was.
Dude.
It was. And I've always been like a smart ass, so I always just talk shit to him.
Yeah.
And so whatever. But his brother, my bully's brother, because I was in the same uniform, that total tribal shit just kicked in. He saw me and he was like, I got to defend this kid.
No way.
And beat the shit out of the 2 kids that were jumping me.
That's hilarious.
And and since then, man, I really was like, damn, I actually love this school. I stopped like hating it so much. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, these guys aren't all bad, and whatever. I mean, that was my first experience with like being a part of something.
Yeah.
Like, a big group where you have a common, cause or goal or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a big thing to that. I mean, I've been thinking for years out here it'd be awesome. I mean, I know it's a little aggressive, but I thought it'd be really cool to start up a dodgeball league at SYS.
That'd be cool.
Like a Wednesday night thing, like adult league, and just have like a bunch of teams, get a bunch of people to sponsor it. Like I would sponsor, I'm sure. You would maybe want to get into something like that.
Oh my god!
So
I would
just
love that,
get like all of our friends and like a bunch of people.
Dodgeball.
So I talked to him like, you can rent out the space, but you imagine just like everyone having a great time playing dodgeball.
It'd be amazing.
A Wednesday night of just beaming each other in the face with dodgeballs
and getting out some of the aggression. That would be really, really cool. I'm all for that. Grindstone will be a sponsor.
It's perfect.
We'll bring 3 dozen donuts to everything.
Yeah, so I've been like kind of like toying with that idea again. I was like, that would be so fun to actually just have that, because I think it'd be great for everyone to have something to go do. And also, there's nothing like getting beamed in the face with a dodgeball. You know?
It makes you feel alive.
You're out.
It reminds you that you're alive. Yeah.
There's nothing quite like that sting, of like like the school that I went to in Montana, the first one. I mean, we had a carpet gym, like the one. I guess was it grade school or
elementary school.
Elementary school. That's what it is. Carpet gym floors, and the dodgeballs that we had were the foam ones. And those things would get like a little humid, so they'd be like a little bit waterlogged almost.
Oh, wow.
So those things were dense. You get beamed with one of and it was like they'd get chunked out, so you'd almost have like finger holes a little bit.
Wow.
And I remember you get one of those things in the face, you get a little bit of foam in the corner of your eye, your eyes watering. It's like,
totally.
You know what I mean? So those are the good old times,
man. At my middle school, we I don't know why they called it technical tracking. I'm not sure why the gym teacher just made that name up.
And this is where the programming started.
Yeah, for real. So it wasn't like the like Nerf soccer balls or anything like that, but he had these. They were like maybe this big, like maybe a little smaller than a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Bigger than a softball, but small enough to really grip.
You really get them.
And they were some kind of rubber. They were yellow, and I will never forget them, man, because when they were a little deflated, you could really just grip them. And there were some overdeveloped kids, in like 8th grade that maybe got held back or something.
Or just drank the milk.
Yeah, exactly. And man, some of them, it was scary. Like you could hear those things. Like, And that I would love to reclaim that glory. That was fucking awesome. That was such a good time. Yeah, and I mean, just the war game aspect of it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We actually our wrestling coach ended up having to resign because he used to play dodgeball with all the kids, and he'd get really into it. He was like, it was like a big thing. We'd play dodgeball in high school even, and I just remember people just getting decimated because a lot of kids in my class. I did advanced PE, I guess what it is. It's called ops class, I guess. It's like a advanced like physical whatever. So we like it was like more than just like going and stretching and whatever you do in normal PE. But we'd always play dodgeball. But it was awesome because the wrestling coach who like I think he wrestled for the Golden Ghost. He's like a legendary wrestler. And yeah, he ended up beaming one of the kids in the face. I think he broke his nose, or kid got a super bloody nose. He sued the school. The whole thing.
Come on.
So he had to like step down. It was such a fucked up deal, actually. The kid ruined it for everybody. We had no more dodgeball after that.
Oh, man.
Motherfucker. I forget who the kid was. God damn him. If he hears this, fuck you.
Fuck you, dude. Ruined fucking dodgeball for everyone.
God damn you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What did he go home and tell his parents?
I think the parents were... It's probably more the parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The parents were probably like, you know what? This is it.
Dude, my parents would have been like, you should have caught it.
Yeah.
You know?
God damn it, Kyle.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're out.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've been thinking a lot about just doing dodgeball league, which I think would be pretty fun.
That would be cool. Yeah, I've been thinking of things that can kind of simulate those experiences that we really need to have on a very deep kind of primal level. And I've thought about how humans were nomadic, and maybe sometimes just the feeling of walking through the woods is very cathartic. And I feel like I need it if I don't do it for a while.
Yeah.
Like I went out yesterday after work. I was just like, dude, it's been a couple weeks. Like I need to get the fuck out. And like,
where do you go?
Yesterday I went to Long Pond, the Greenbelt Trail.
Yeah.
And just no phone, no shit. Just hear the things, look at everything, bring some binoculars,
Smell.
Yeah. And and really just be aware of everything. And then kind of notice what you're thinking of and let it pass. And it's really, I've found it to be very useful to like recenter myself. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be cool to do with groups of people. I don't know exactly how I would want to do it, but the kind of idea is just that, you go, you meet up at a starting point and you go and you can talk or not talk, and it really wouldn't have a lot of structure to it, but it would be a very long and difficult, like a few hour long hike, and and people could leave whenever the fuck they want. They don't have to do the whole thing. And
are these our bird watching years?
Yeah, totally. Well, man, I do love, like, I bring
That's
my...
a Western Canary.
I bring my binoculars out and I look at shit, and I don't know what it is. I'm not, like, cataloging it or anything.
Well, there's a lot of weird shit here.
There's a lot of
How about
great
the
birds
bugs?
out here.
How about the bugs?
It's a very strange place. The bugs out here are crazy.
Okay, first of all, like, what if bugs were, like, just imagine an ant, for example, was the size of, like, a dog, like a Labrador. This earth probably wouldn't even look the same.
Yeah.
But some of the bugs that are here are straight out of, like, horror films.
Yeah.
Like, crazy colors.
Yeah. I got one of those giant beetles in my boot. I put my shoe on and I felt
big
something.
Black ones?
Yeah.
With the horn?
Yeah. And I felt
those things
something.
bite, by the way.
It did. It bit my small toe, and I pulled my foot out. I was like, what the fuck? And it was like, the size of a 50-cent piece or something.
Yeah, no, they're huge.
Like, is this Australia or something?
No, like, for the camera, you can think they're literally, like, this big. They're massive, and they're horned beetles. It looks like something from Africa.
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
got this big beak horn thing on it. But yeah, I had one. I was like holding in my hands. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big time bug guy." All of a sudden, let him crawl around on me. I saw a guy on Instagram. I forget what Instagram he has, but it's like I forget the name. But he's like always got these like big moths and praying mantis. And I'm like, oh yeah, girls looking at this thing. All of a sudden, I was like, yeah, oh dude, it bit me so hard, like drew blood even.
Really?
I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then so I kind of flung him off, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna let him live. I'm not gonna kill him. But like, dude, that fucking thing.
It's so I try not to kill bugs. Like Like I'm in their space as much as they're in my space.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to sound like a hippie or anything. Sometimes I just fucking kill them. Like it depends on the day, really, honestly.
Yeah.
But like yesterday, there was a.
That's so honest. It's like sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe I'll capture this little moth.
Seriously,
and let him go. Other times you're just like,
yeah, like fuck you. I had a rough day, man. This is gonna get my aggression out today.
Yeah, totally. And I have one flying right. Oh no, that's not a bug. It's like a something. What is that? It's an orb. You've been infiltrated.
Yeah, it's your great-great-grandmother.
Yeah.
So I, like yesterday we were watching TV and Chris, my wife, saw one and she was like, "Go kill that," and I was like, "I'm not not gonna kill it. I'm like acting all high and mighty. And like I walked up and I grabbed it and I tried to put it out the window and it just flew back to the TV.
Was it a katydid? One of those green things?
No, it was just a regular little tiny moth. You know,
yeah.
like when you smash them, they turn to ash.
Yeah.
You know, like you just obliterate them. You know, and it came back, and then I was like, God, I'm trying to do you a favor.
Yeah,
dude.
come on.
You know, like I'm trying not to kill you.
Yeah.
Like just help me out on this.
Yeah.
And then I got it outside, and I felt great about myself for 5 minutes, and you know, whatever. But yeah, we live in Springs, and they're like. It's in the woods. Like there's a 36-acre preserve behind us,
right.
And it's like we've had a tick problem. We had a bunch of ticks everywhere, and on the dogs and stuff before we got the spraying and all that shit done, which I was against initially, and then I was like, once I had a tick infestation, I was just like, okay, fucking, let's napalm these motherfuckers. You know?
It's crazy. I for people that are listening across the country, I mean, ticks exist everywhere a little bit, but not like here.
No,
there's a full.
In Ohio, they don't have them really. In Southern Ohio, they have them a little bit, but not with Lyme.
No, not with Lyme, and not to like where you get these like little nymphs. Like I've gone through the forest, like just walking on the trail, and you get them on your legs, and there'll be thousands.
The size of a grain of sand.
Even smaller.
Yeah.
Like the head of a needle.
Yeah.
Like they're almost not even visible to your eye, and they're crawling all over you.
And they bite you.
And then
they can still bite you and dig in there.
Yep.
And
they burrow and they carry Lyme's disease. I actually know somebody that has passed away from Lyme's disease from a tick.
Holy shit.
I know another guy that is now paralyzed who was like a prominent artist and yeah, has been having a terrible time with that.
Serious, man.
It's not a joke. And so for other people in the country, like yes, out here on the East Coast or Eastern Long Island, even more so. You know, there's lots of theories of like how this tick infiltration has happened.
Conspiracy theories.
You know, how the deer have escaped from Plum Island and it was like a weapon of warfare, let's say.
Lab 257.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, but one of the biggest carriers are birds.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they thought. They
so,
said the birds landed on Plum Island.
But let's talk about birds go everywhere. You know, it's really weird because like I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, so it is showing up in other places. They are finding it in other parts of the country, like I think in Colorado even, which is terrifying because like those places seem so untouched. But you know, why is it not infiltrating? It seems like it's so concentrated here.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so heavily concentrated. I mean, my dog one time came in and I thought she had blueberries stuck to her, and they were ticks. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you've never felt so violated.
Yeah.
And then it's like
real parasites, man.
Yeah, I've been sleeping before, and all of a sudden you just like feel something, and you're like, oh, in my armpit, and you go in there and you like can't even get it off.
Yeah, they go to the warmth.
Yeah,
the warm
and
places.
it's like. It's terrifying, you know. So like, there's like a big problem with the ticks out here.
Well, it wouldn't be terrifying if it wasn't for Lyme, you know. Like if it wasn't for the fact that, like, how about the Lone Star tick?
Well, that's what I mean.
You know, the Lone Star tick. Let's see. My parents' friend who's a realtor out here, she got Bell's palsy because of it. Like she can't eat red meat anymore.
Yeah.
Fucking half of her face like stroked out.
That's insane.
From a fucking tick, dude. Like
a
thing that you can't really avoid unless you don't go outside.
Yeah.
Like, and clearly you and people like me, like we go outside.
Yeah.
Like,
and then it's like if you
ticks be damned. Like, you know, you just have to deal with it. Like, there's no. It's crazy to me that there's no huge push to try to figure out this fucking disease. Like they can't figure out a vaccine for it. Like there used to be one,
dude,
and then it turned out it gave people Lyme and it was worse, and then now there's one for dogs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be on the focal point of
it's not on anyone's radar.
It doesn't seem.
Why?
I don't know.
Because not a lot of people go outside anymore or something.
Well, it's crazy. It's like a lot of people that if I'm like meeting for a site like a project to like, you know, I'll be walking a site to go look at, you know, clearing or, you know, doing new site development for development of a new home, and I'll show up with somebody and they will be putting off spray all over them. This one person I met up with a few times this year, every single time I've seen them, they are putting off all over their fucking body, right on their bare skin, on their face as if it's sunscreen.
Oh, dude.
I'm like, what in the fuck? I'm like, first of all, I don't even know if off is, seriously. It's like, it might as well almost be his breath spray, because it's like, he's... it scares me. So I was like, well, hey, you know, I'm not trying to like say anything, but this seems a little crazy. Every time I've seen you, you've been putting off on you. He's like, I put it on every day. Every day.
That's like too far of a response.
And people are putting like permethrin on, like permethrin sprays, and you know, anytime you have to like put a spray on to go out in the forest, that just really takes away from the whole fucking experience.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I just get bit.
Or
you try to notice though. They say as long as you don't have them on for more than 24 hours, is a pretty low chance of getting Lyme.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to be aware and check yourself. And,
Yeah.
And you can feel them, man, when they bite you. Like unless they are crawling on you in your sleep and they bite you when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like you fucking know when one bites you. You can feel it.
I actually learned a couple interesting things from this woman that's like a tick expert, I guess. But a lot of people, if you are local out here and you do come visit here, let's say, one of the things that like a lot of people commonly mistake when they go to pull them off themselves, they use their fingertips. What you end up doing is you actually end up like squeezing
the
all
blood,
that
right?
blood back into your bloodstream. So you're like literally directing the enzyme into yourself. So I really encourage you use some tweezers or a tick removing like little bit.
Yeah, I used to have one on my dog on the collar.
On the collar,
Yeah, those things are fucking invaluable. Like,
yeah,
it's just like,
I know.
It kind of scoops them from the bottom.
Totally.
And then people will be too hard with it, and the head gets stuck in.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, dude.
I know. Yeah, so ticks are a real big problem out here, and the bugs are just so bizarre in themselves. I mean, there's just so many different weird species of different types of bugs. I'm fascinated by them, honestly.
After we had the tick problem, with my dogs getting covered by the nymphs and stuff. We had a flea problem after that, dude. Like I'm like, you can't exist
Warfare.
Outside here, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what it is. That's what it's always been. Is you're at war with nature, like not in the sense that you want to destroy nature, but I mean, nature in a way is trying to destroy you, like for sure. Just as much as anything else.
Mostly.
Yeah, and So and we build houses to try to fucking defend ourselves from that shit, and we wear clothes, for that reason. So.
Yeah. Imagine living in Alaska with like the mosquitoes up there. You gotta like wear like a net. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that program.
Or like, I mean, I think Australia is pretty notorious for having the gnarliest bugs out there. They've got like spiders that eat birds and shit.
Yeah.
Dude. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I mean, I'm not really afraid of spiders, but like, have you seen like the Iraqi like camel spiders?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, my friend sent me a picture of one over in Iraq, and I was like,
they like fight them with scorpions and shit, like bet on it, like it's like cockfighting.
It's like Tijuana all of a sudden.
Yeah,
they're like, camel spider versus scorpion.
Yeah. But that's what YouTube is made for, man.
Oh, the things you can get into on YouTube are just never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, why even have cable?
My God, I know.
Yeah.
It's my number one source of entertainment, for sure.
That's all I really watch. Right? I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, and we're the same age, so, and in a similar demographic, so that makes sense. Yeah. I wonder if that's... a lot of people I talk to aren't like that, though. Like, a lot of people... Like, I have tons of playlists, and my watch later list is
all that.
3,000 videos long right now. I'm never going to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, because people are like, yeah, you really watch a lot of YouTube, huh? And I'm like... I mean, yeah, if I'm going to watch something, I'm going to watch YouTube.
You can watch exactly what you want to watch.
Totally. I used to watch a lot of Red Bull TV.
Oh, yeah? That's a lot of extreme sports shit.
Yeah, like a lot of like action sports and things like that. But it's like a lot of cliff diving too. It's like, how much can you really watch?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably like 20 different things you can watch on that, right?
Yeah. And so I definitely like that. But I mean, I like watching other podcasts even. Like, I even like Impulsive with Logan Paul.
I've never seen it.
It's great. And then like there's like spin-offs of that, like the Night Shift. I mean, just like that entertainment, like how people are producing their shows, how they're doing things. It's
cool, man. It's inspiring. Original like content creators. Like they've got. It's cool because at most of the level that you see on YouTube, there's not any. Like corporate directive or any kind of bias or any kind. I mean, there's bias, but there's not like a secret, kind of thing behind it, like an agenda, like how every major corporate television station,
For sure, not to the same level, for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say, like after the debate just happened, which that was what
a shit
the
show.
Actual fuck.
Jesus Christ.
Right after that, every single clip that I had like on news, like trending now news, every single one was favored towards like how Trump was, powering over this conversation and like kind of like, and Biden was, just trying to be, was just basically retract. It was basically like on the defense, and it was kind of, my whole feed was kind of curated more towards like that Trump was the bigot of the conversation, which
was the bigot of the conversation.
Yeah, like he was he was the one that was like the aggressor, and in a lot of ways he was, for sure. But it was curated to where it was like, it wasn't like there was anything from Biden's side as well. It was like every single thing was like negative Trump on my YouTube, and so
that's interesting.
It wasn't dual sided. It wasn't.
Well, so YouTube does push the mainstream networks now, and that'll go to the top of your feed.
And don't get me
regardless
twisted.
Of your algorithm.
Don't get me twisted. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not an anything supporter at this point, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? What are we even watching? It's like a Family Guy episode.
Oh, it's bread and circuses.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like,
And anyone who takes it seriously is buying into it too much.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take that.
This
shit
has exposed
seriously.
it so much more. I mean, just even this last year of time, it's just exposed all of that, like of the puppeteering. It's just
Well, what's interesting with Trump for me is, I guess I would be considered like a lifelong progressive.
Yeah.
And like in high school, I got arrested at the School of the Americas at a protest for protesting against the SOA and WINSEC and like all of the bullshit training that they do. They bring dudes up to essentially train as mercenaries to send back down to South America to do the bidding of the United States. And it's very imperialist, and I don't agree with any of that shit. I was like, during George W. Bush's years, I was always against the war, and I was like, fuck the troops, don't support the troops, fuck that. And, playing in punk bands and, just that very linear line of thinking. And then Trump got elected, and I didn't think he would, because I didn't think elections were real.
Yeah.
I really was like, oh, they're not going to let him win.
That's what I thought.
The fuck? And then he won.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, is he controlled opposition?
Yeah.
Is this real? Like, is he real? Like,
Yeah.
is he actually an outsider?
Yeah.
Or is he part of the establishment that, they just put in there to say, hey, this is who you can rally against now.
Yeah.
And I still, I'll never know. But I did see a very, what's interesting to me about it is how as soon as he got elected, or as soon as he really started gaining steam and it looked like he had a chance, how every mainstream network turned against him.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%
Across the
fucking
board.
propaganda against him across the board, except from Fox News, which...
Even still.
And I've always been like, fuck Fox News,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it confused me, because for years I was like watching those same networks prop up George W. Bush and the war in Iraq and lie about WMDs and lie about all the shit and all the corruption, and then watch the same thing happen during Obama, and he didn't close Guantanamo. He fucking the Fast and Furious. It doesn't even seem like it was Bosch. It seems like it was an intentional thing to give arms to cartels.
Right.
And they all held him up as like this amazing president, and then Trump got elected and started gaining steam or whatever, and then got elected, and they were just against him from the beginning, like 100%. And it just confused me, because I was like, well, who the fuck owns these companies that are doing this?
Right.
Like, they propped up war criminals for fucking years. Like, the entire time I've been paying attention to politics, they were like a branch of the government.
Right.
Like that, like mainstream media was
Aligned
a branch.
with the side.
Yeah. They were propaganda peddlers. And so I don't know, the whole fucking thing is confusing to me. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand like why they didn't just side with him as soon as he became elected, And it to me that makes it seem like he actually was an outsider, that he's not part of the political class that's allowed to be in charge,
right?
And he just had the fuck you money to buy his way in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It was very confusing though, and very like hard for me to wrap my head around, because I thought things were a certain way. Like, I really thought like whoever the president is, the media is going to support, and then we have to support because we're fed propaganda. But then like they just turned against it, and then it became like kind of the mainstream thing was to hate the president.
Right.
Like that's the consensus is that Trump is an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's a racist and all this shit. And it's very confusing. It's just confusing. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't know how the election is going to turn out, and I hate both of them.
Yeah.
I hate establishment politicians. I hate Trump. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, man, they're both assholes too.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Biden didn't do shit for this country, the whole time he has held office, and Kamala Harris didn't do anything but fuck people over and put people in jail for minor drug offenses. And
people really want to overlook that fact.
Yeah, well, because they're so it's so like, oh well, fuck Trump, so whoever else, like.
Well, this whole privatized prison situation that we have in this country is one of the most upsetting things I've seen in a long time.
Of all the things to privatize,
What the
you're
fuck?
gonna don't privatize schools, privatize prisons.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. I mean, to
be able to profit off of enslaving people, essentially.
Look, we're all parroting information. Like, none of us know a fucking thing. We think we know something, but we're all getting it from a thing that's in our pocket, our phone, or on our TV, and we don't really know what the fuck is actually going on. So of course it's going to be confusing, but this has highlighted a lot of confusion for people because it's like, I think ultimately a lot of us want to live in harmony, we want to live in peace, but there is like a darkness that exists in this world. There are like dark things that are happening, and so and a lot of those things are happening right in front of our face. We can see, and that's I don't know. That's to me like one of the biggest.
It's such a shame too, because we're in such a great position to really make things awesome for everyone.
Well, and I think that back to silver lining things, which I know is annoying, but like, this is highlighting so many things that it's like making us aware of like where we need to grow, and there's no comfort in growth. Growth is never comfortable, and I have to say, I feel like the country was pretty stagnant, like past few years. And like if this is what it takes for us to fucking wake up and be like, hey, we have conversations to have. Let's have these conversations. I can say in my own life, there are times when I don't have that uncomfortable conversation, and it's so important to do because that's the only way you fucking grow is if you have that uncomfortable conversation, you hear people's side, you listen to where they're coming from, and you evoke change, not only within yourself singularly, which is obviously what we're all supposed to be doing, but as a collective, as a community, and that is one thing I do love about New York is it's like people do come together, in all these different regards. Like, I talked to people about when 9/11 had happened, and that's like the common theme of the camaraderie that did happen of this travesty, and same thing, like, even I know it wasn't completely crazy, but it was definitely something that happened on Long Island. But Hurricane Sandy, even people, I had lots of friends going and giving people water and helping people out.
I saw like restaurants had extension cords for people to charge their phone and shit.
And it's just like if people start to come together, it's like, okay, well, how can I help one another? How can we help one another?
It sucks that shit goes away after like 2 weeks though.
It's
does. Like they call it really the hedonic treadmill. Where it's like no matter how good or bad something gets, you're gonna get back to that base level. And after shit calmed down with COVID, people were so nice during COVID, like during the height of it in March, and then once we hit kind of June, once it
got a little long,
I started getting into fights with people at the post office again, and like it was like people were just back to normal. Like once you're not faced with the the prospect of your own mortality, like all of a sudden you can forget that life is short.
I think that I agree with that, and I mean I think that baseline is rising. I mean, it feels like it's low right now, but I think that there is like a big collection of consciousness that is shifting right now. And that's just my sense. That's not even talking to somebody about Mercury being in retrograde or anything like that. It's about, I just feel it amongst people that I talk to and that I meet. There's like a collective of like, yes, this is fucked up, and yes, this does need to change, and it's all coming from a place of love, and people actually want to be better. Of course, there's these fucking terrible people out here that are realizing that they have racist qualities, that are full-blown racist. There's every end of the spectrum, as far as you can imagine, of bullshit that's going on, but it's great that we're having the fucking conversation.
Well, the thing that's worrying me about it, that I don't think is as... that I'm not as optimistic about in that sense is I think a lot of people right now really are having that conversation because mainstream media is telling them to have that conversation, and like this is the conversation we need to have. Like, this is there's an epidemic of racism in this country, and like Hitler is our president and shit like that. And I'm just like there are bad things going on, but like, you need to recognize what they are in your own life. Like, don't let fucking, this corporate propaganda peddling piece of shit tell you what's wrong with your life.
Right.
Like, that to me isn't really getting a hold of the true problem, because people are not looking inward. They're not, no one is spiritual. I mean, people fucking do yoga and shit and like put it on Instagram. Like, that's not real, man. That's not anything that's public like that, I don't buy.
Right.
And with social media, every fucking thing is public.
Yeah.
And I just, there's something that is corrupted when you're virtuous and then you're public about it. Like it's an old, there's like a concept in Christianity that's about not praying in public because the idea is that it corrupts it. It's like you're not doing it to do it. You're doing it to put on a show for everyone.
Right.
And I think, man, everyone's kind of stuck in that mindset. Like everyone's addicted to social media because of how it makes us feel, and it makes us feel connected, and then it pulls us more apart. But we really think that we're more connected, but then we go to bed and we actually feel way less connected than we thought we were, and then you need more social media, and it just pushes you further and further apart. And then the algorithms kick in and really reinforce your thinking and make you think that this group sucks and this group is awesome. And it's
to assign with one side of anything is always a little slippery for me. That's why it's been tough for me to like get into sports, honestly, in that regard, because it's like, I don't know. For one, I don't know. Sports aren't generally that exciting to me. I like action sports, but also this like the concept of that is like that's part of the program. It's like to be on a side, to pick a thing. But ultimately, I think, I don't know.
Well, that's a simulation. That's a simulation of the tribalism that we all experienced when we were literally, tribes.
Right. But I do think that there, even by people just posting the things that they're doing, I think yes, I see what you're saying. I agree with it in a sense. But I do also know people that will pick up off of those people that they think that they that they attach to on an Instagram or whatever it may be, YouTube, someone that they follow, and they're not posting it all the time. They're just, well, this person's doing it, and so it invokes them to do it. It kind of
inspires people
to actually get up and do it and create a nice backdrop, and I think that there's something subsequently.
It's like mimicry, though.
It is for sure. But there's a lot of monkey see, the monkey do that can be good for people because at least you're giving yourself that moment. And a lot of times people aren't just always, then those people aren't always, Instagramming it themselves and then putting it back on. And a lot of times, even if they are, I mean, I got to say, that's better time spent than fucking not doing that, in some regard. And I think that a lot of people, I think we're learning the dance of social media and what it and how it affects us. And
it's weird.
It's
really weird.
But it's
because a lot of times it's difficult to make something if you have the intention of posting it on social media without that thought corrupting the process.
I think it takes. Right? I think I do. I 100% agree, and I think I've even squabbled.
You think
with that.
In the back of your head, like, oh man, this is gonna look really good
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep. Because you're curating a thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that can fuck up the whole artistic process of whatever you're doing.
It can, but it can also highlight it. It kind of keeps you honest a little bit because you're looking at the viewing aspect. You want the view of it to be a certain way. And you're trying to curate something good ultimately. And I think people are. But a lot of people need reinforcement.
But for that medium, like for that specific medium, and to hit a certain look, and
it depends on like because I think we could split hairs on this. Like, sure. I think that we, yes, you can definitely jizz in the soup of the creation and ruin it by doing it in such a way if you're trying to curate bullshit. But if let's just say you're curating, your yoga routine or what have you, it's like you're creating something with a nice backdrop, you're trying to have a good message, although it's tough for me to take messages from people that maybe aren't really living the message, but ultimately, as far as like getting out, moving your body, creating flow, and at least having some sort of form of creation, I think is ultimately, I think we will start to see that it's actually probably better for us than we actually think, because you are creating something, you're keeping yourself accountable. A lot of people are keeping themselves accountable by being online because they know that they have a following, and so they're like, well, I have to wake up today and I have to meet the sun and I have to like give thanks to all these different things, and
that's interesting that you say give thanks, because I've started to see social media as a kind of communal expression of gratitude, because people really do post the things that they're thankful for.
Even if you're not being super grateful, just speaking those words out every day and asking everybody, hey, what are you grateful for today? And even if it is a whole charade that they're putting on, I think that it's probably invoking more good change on people than and probably on themselves. When you're parroting your own information and it happens to be a good message, even if you're not on that vibration, you're subsequently kind of putting yourself in that vibration a little bit.
Yeah, and you might be exposing someone to that idea that really does believe in it.
You're reinforcing it to yourself, but I also see the other side. There's some slippery bullshit that happens where people, when your motive is to be insta famous, I can't identify with that at all. It's hard for me to acknowledge that. I just
know so many people that cultivate a very specific persona, and that's not who they really are.
Right, yeah.
And maybe they're just bad at getting their true persona out online. Maybe they're just not or maybe they're uncomfortable with it, you know? Like it
takes
seems
a lot of courage.
dishonest. Yeah,
It takes a lot of courage to put your real self out there. And to be honest, it's like,
well, and it's hard to even know what your real self is, you know. I mean,
a lot of people are figuring that shit out right now. I think I've talked to people right now that one of my good friends, he's 47 years old. He's like, I'm realizing I have so much shit that is like still attached to me from my childhood, and he's just now figuring this out. You know, so I think a lot of people, when you open your mind to being in that space and you allow yourself to be vulnerable and to actually start to transcend through some of the shit that you've lived through, it's a valiant effort, honestly, because you're really having to like really process a lot, and a lot of people don't want to face that shit. You know, a lot of people don't want to face the adversity that they already went through. They want to kind of like become complacent, but a lot of people also too, like I said, like the point that I was really trying to make is that I really see people making an effort. Actually, I see you guys out there. I see people trying to actually make a fucking effort in their life to try to be better, to try to get creative, to move and shake and pivot. Obviously, I see the other side of the coin, but I think the highlight should be on the people that are trying to be better, whether or not it is bullshit. Like you're emphasizing an aspect to yourself that is real, that's going to become real whether you want it or not. Now, if you're emphasizing, oh, I'm into dark magic and so on and so forth, then you're probably going to start emphasizing more things like that, and you're going to start attracting more things like that. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, I see a lot of people really trying to do good for themselves.
Do you think social media is a net positive on humanity?
Ultimately, in the long run, yes.
Yeah. Do you see it as art?
Yes. Yep, I do.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I think, yeah, I do. I 100% do, because I think we're in a toilsome like moment with it, and like anything that we've had, it's always been that way. And you know, people want to think that things aren't natural, and it's not natural projection. Well, clearly it is, because it's here. And yeah, maybe it does go away, and we go. But you know, it's really romantic to think about a society of living in the forest with your flannel shirt and fishing for your food and growing your own food. But there's a reason why we have society now, because that shit was fucking hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a garden, and that thing's overrun with weeds right now because my life's too busy.
Right.
No, it's not actually because of that. It's because it hasn't become my priority, because I can get food. You know, and we can go on every single conversation about even just going to the supermarket. You can't even, I go there now, and it's like I can barely even buy food from there because there's nothing really even edible.
Right.
98% of the stores. Yeah, 98% of the store is unedible. Yeah. For me personally.
Yeah, if you're trying to avoid sugar, walk through a fucking grocery store. It's useless.
So totally. I actually want to ask you about sugar a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, in your business, sugar is an aspect, but like in this community that we live in, sorry to like totally.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think we covered that pretty well.
I feel like we could go on for every aspect of like all of those things, because I think we align similarly on some of those. But I think that, you know, sugar for me has like been something that I think is obviously like a big conversation for people. There's so many Netflix documentaries and YouTube documentaries, and people are talking about sugar, and sugar's kind of become enemy number one for a lot of people. And I'm curious as to, you know, like how you mitigate that in like your business of, you know, obviously donuts are donuts. Yeah. At the end of the day, and how does that? What is your response to like? What do people like in that regard? And do you have options for people that are against sugar, let's say, or what's your stance?
No, I don't. I mean, I sell caffeine and sugar. I'm a legal drug dealer. You know, I know I am. Like, it is what it is. You know, but you know, people are addicted to sugar, and people are addicted to caffeine, and to their own routines, especially. But,
right. There's that.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think. You know, we're not taking advantage of anyone. You know, people are free to. It's a free market. We have free will. Yeah, we have free will, and you know, this is a treat. And it should be seen as that, and I think it is. I don't have any customers. I mean, here at least, you know, I don't have any customers that are like, oh my. Well, I did actually. There was one guy that used to come in all the time. He was a day trader.
I knew there'd be one.
Yeah, he was a day trader, and he would come in at like 6 a.m. as soon as we open. He was like a chatty dude. Like, we all got along. Yeah. And he would sit there with a half dozen box, and he would get mostly the filled ones, like the Boston cream, like just the fattest ones. And he would sit there and just plow like 4 of them while he was talking to us. Yeah. And he was a big dude too. Like he was probably like somewhere around 6'5". Like, he's really, really tall. And he started getting a gut, man, after like a year of coming in. And then he hasn't been back since. Really? Like, I see him in town and stuff, and you know, we still talk and we're still friendly, but like, He's like, yeah, man, I can't even go in there. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, man, you know how you work.
Yeah.
You know, good for you.
You have an issue with donuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Like, he has no self-control when it comes to eating. And
Yeah.
if it's in front of him, he'll fucking eat it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I do, like, I don't really eat the donuts, like, every now and then, you know, like, especially when one is fresh out of the fryer and it's, like, still really hot. It's
That's
like,
probably so good.
dude, like, the glazed donuts, when they're warm, you're not even eating them. You're, like, drinking them. Like, it's, like, I swear to God, like, they're just so soft and they're, like, hardly even solid. And it's amazing.
But I think
they're really special for sure, and there's a very developed complexity, you know, with our rising process and stuff,
Right.
and they're made with fresh yeast, and it's based off of a brioche dough, so they're very, very buttery, and they're decadent, man. And you can't really, I mean, I wouldn't be able to eat more than 2 if I tried, you know, but not everyone comes in for the donuts, and, you know, we do the coffee really well, and people are, you know, really into that, and we have all the different, you know, we don't have, like, the chemical sweeteners, but we have, like, stevia, and yeah, out here, it's weird. It's like people want to think that they, you know, are against something. Like, you know, we my biggest, like, war was with the straws, you know, because we're surrounded by water, so, like, you know, that turtle video went viral, and all of a sudden everyone hated plastic straws.
Right.
Like, I've had people walk into the shop, see that we have a plastic, you know, cold brew cup.
Yeah.
And we don't use straws anymore. We found a little sippy lid, just so everyone's aware. And so we don't give straws out anymore. But we tried to do the paper straws, and they just dissolve, and no one likes those. But then the people that want straws are, like, usually women that have that don't want their teeth to be stained with coffee. Mm-hmm. So
as I do that, I like.
So you know, that's been an issue, but, like, I have people come in and they're like, oh, you have plastic, and they walk out and get into a fucking Land Rover that's 90% plastic and gets 8 miles to the gallon and fucking drive down the street. So fuck you. Like, pick your battle, man.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure, like when I save the moth, I'm sure you feel great about yourself, you know, right now for, like, winning that little easily fought battle, but I don't buy it. And I mean, I do try to, you know, do what I can to, you know, mitigate that kind of experience for someone. I mean, mostly for us. Like, I don't want those people coming in and complaining. Yeah. So like, you know, we do what we can, and we do what we can to be responsible, but we are still a small business, you know, like, it's and it's hard out here, man. Like, we live on the moon. Like, the suppliers, like, we have to get everything from, like, the city, essentially. Right. And that's not easy. Yeah. Like, there's a very limited supply of things that we can offer in the shop. Yeah. And, you know, so that's been kind of weird navigating that.
People don't realize that getting things here, it has to go over a bridge.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And it's like there's a fee for everything.
Yeah.
Just you have to go, we're literally on an island.
We're on an island. Yeah.
So it's got to go on a bridge and drive for basically 2+ hours to even get to us.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Getting anything repaired out here is a fucking nightmare. Any kind of refrigeration repair, anything like that. And they always go out on Labor Day weekend, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's always been really stressful. Like, I think that the first year we were open, I think on Memorial Day weekend, our first Memorial Day, my hood just broke. It just shut down. Yeah. And I can't fry donuts without a hood. Yeah. Or it sets off the fire, the smoke detectors, the ASL system. And so I just had to not make donuts. And Memorial Day, I just had my staff saying, like, hey, we have no donuts. Sorry, we're a bunch of assholes, basically. And that was the first year, you know? Like, that was such a drag. But, like, that kind of shit, like, now I know. Like, I've got a guy, he lives 20 minutes away. Like, he's a local dude that knows how to fix hoods. Yeah. And, you know, so, like,
now you've got a Rolodex.
Oh, yeah, with the whole thing. I've got a whole, a board, like a cork board with all the local repairmen and stuff.
Like arrows. This breaks, call this guy. Yeah. This breaks, calls this guy.
But as far as, like, the sugar and stuff, it is very, I mean, it's a choice, you know. It's addictive. Sugar is very addictive.
You drink the coffee, obviously.
Yeah, I drink coffee every day.
Where do you guys get the beans?
We import them right now. Like we're offering 3. So we have an espresso, a light roast, and a dark roast. And that's what we brew in the shop, and we also have them available in bags. And they're all organic, and I import through a company called New York Royal, who holds them in either New York or Florida or New Jersey. And we just get these 150-pound bags of coffee, and we roast it in my prep kitchen in Sag Harbor, like on the Sag Harbor Turnpike.
But you were saying before it's all organic and...
Yeah, it's all organic, and...
do you know where they're grown?
Yeah, the espresso is from Bali. It's called Blue Moon. It's like, Bali, so it's like grown in volcanic soil, and it imparts that taste. So it's very earthy. Yeah. It's got like kind of a licoricey cedar taste almost. It's very earthy. Like it's awesome. Like that's what I've been drinking at home.
Cool.
And then there's a Colombian for the light roast, and the reason everyone drinks Colombian coffee is because it's kind of like South American coffee is very chocolatey, and it's like what you would think of when you think of like an American cup of coffee, right, very, very straightforward chocolate. And Colombian coffee, because of the elevation, does have like a fruitiness that you would normally only find in like an African coffee. So it's kind of like a hybrid of somewhere between a South American and an African. That's why Colombian coffee is like known throughout the world as being like some of the best coffee. It's like, it's really, really interesting coffee. Yeah. And so that's our light roast. And then our dark roast, we were using a Brazilian, because Brazil makes awesome dark roast coffee, but they don't make it, at least with our importer, they just don't have any organic coffee.
Really?
None out of Brazil. It's super weird. So we got a Sumatran. We started roasting that today, so we'll see how it goes.
Today?
Yeah, we switched over today, yeah, because we had to run out the bag of the Brazilian stuff. And then, I'm messing around with blends too, so we don't have anything that we sell in the shop yet, but like one that like I just have like a bunch of coffees at home, and then for when my wife and I wake up, we have coffee together before I go to work, and I've been messing around with different blends. So like I got this crazy Ethiopian coffee. It's called Yirgacheffe. There's a lot of different Yirgacheffe coffees, but they essentially taste like tea. Yeah. They're very, very light roasted, and it's like blueberries and just very citrusy, floral. And so you can mix something like the volcanic tasting, earthy coffee with something like that, and then maybe bridge it with like a Colombian and do like a 3 coffee blend.
Gotcha.
And it comes out with this amazing complexity that's earthy but floral, and that's really what I'm interested in right now, at least with the business. Like that is like just so cool to me.
Mixing stuff up a little bit.
Yeah, and taking and like learning the characteristics of the coffees from different parts of the world, and kind of cooking with them, essentially, like figuring out how they're going to play off of each other, and how to come up with something that's really interesting but appeals to a lot of people. Because like coffee nerd world, like a lot of the dudes that are really into coffee only drink like super light roasts that are complex, and it's like beer nerds, guys that are really into beer, they IPAs. Only drink super IPA, like super hoppy.
That's
and
my
like,
brother.
Yeah, and like the normal, a normal guy like me is like taste that and they're like, oh, this is fucking swamp water. When we first opened, when we only carried 4-barrel coffee, they're out of the West Coast. They're out of San Francisco, and West Coast coffee is very, very light. And East Coast coffee, man, people like dark roast out here, and older people like dark roast too. Yeah. I don't know why I don't know. Maybe it has the weather or something.
Or maybe they think it's like more potent, so they're gonna get more away from
and that's the thing. It's not. Light roast coffee is actually way more potent because you don't cook the caffeine out of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, light roast coffee will really fuck you up. It'll
myself included. I literally dark. I'm tired this morning. Dark roast.
Yeah, no, man. Like so Starbucks, like all that shit. Yeah, it's got way less caffeine in it because it's all burned out of it.
That's hilarious. I never even thought of that.
I know. Yeah, it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So that's why a blend is great, because then you kind of get the best of both worlds. Right. You get the full body, but then you get the caffeine. You know? So like that's where we're at, and
so you've kind of like become passionate about coffee here.
Yeah, well, that was like the original thing, and then I wanted to open the coffee shop, and then we had to figure out something to differentiate us from all the other coffee places, and especially in Sag, there's Sagtown, and there's Jack's, and I mean even 7-Eleven, Scavoni's has coffee.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's like 8 places in Sag, and Sag is not a big. I mean, the town is not big. There's 8 fucking places to get coffee. That's super competitive.
Well, that's I remember like when Starbucks first started like kind of coming around and becoming like just like a more prominent space, and it was like on every block all of a sudden, and coffee shops were closing down left and right.
Yeah.
So to even be competitive with like a Starbucks, which is there isn't one in Sag Harbor, but there's one in Bridge and there's one in East Hampton,
Which is fucked up because they don't allow chains here.
But that's what I'm saying.
But
so it's but except them.
Well, the reason because that's technically a local business here, because the owner of Starbucks has property in East Hampton. That's why he's allowed to have a Starbucks.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, man.
So if the
that's
owner,
why it's all Ralph Lauren and Starbucks.
Right.
Ralph Lauren has a fucking property in Montauk.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. So what if the owner of Walmart moves
Yeah,
in?
they could come here and open a Walmart, like fucking bulldoze that Kmart.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
New Walmart.
I want to start a petition to turn that Kmart into a Target. Like that would just make my life so complete.
Way fucking better.
Like that sounds like such a soccer mom thing to say. But Jesus Christ, Kmart? The Kmart in Cleveland closed 25 years ago.
Full on. I didn't even know Kmart was available anymore. And like now the only place to like go get shit is Kmart.
In Bridgehampton,
Are you fucking
next
kidding
to
me?
like the town over from the most expensive zip code in the whole country.
It's so bizarre.
Are you kidding me? Kmart?
Kmart of all the chain things.
And it's not even a good Kmart.
It's
like you
trash.
think like, oh, Martha Stewart lives out here. Maybe she's got stock in Kmart. Maybe it would be awesome. Maybe it's amazing. It's the last Kmart. It's like having the last Blockbuster or something.
Yeah.
Like, dude, no, it sucks. It's just like Kmart. All the Kmarts that closed, and no one like. I worked at Kmart when I moved out here. Actually.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
When I first moved out here, because like I didn't know anyone or have any money or anything, and I needed a job, so I got a job at Kmart.
So from Kmart to owning Grindstone, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. So I
what did you do there?
I started out as a cashier. I got a job, seasonally at their like Christmas rush, and I was a cashier, and they moved me up pretty quickly into the cash room, and then I became like the cash guy, and I was counting all the bags at the end of the night, and I worked with this really old Colombian woman who was awesome, and she just like taught me how to do all the accounting basically for the store. It was very interesting. I've had a lot of jobs, but that one was really interesting.
But did you know you wanted to have a coffee shop then?
Yeah. Before I moved here, I had my parents are restaurateurs, so I was like, hey, what would you suggest? How do I go about this?
Yeah.
And they were like, well,
start at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Move to the Hamptons, get a job at Kmart, and then everything will kind of lay itself out. But no, they were like, just write down, get a notebook and write down kind of ideas for what your dream shop would be, and keep all those things in mind, and constantly keep that in mind, and stay at it. And any coffee shops you go experience, if there's something that really stands out to you, put that in the thing. And eventually, if the time comes and you're given the opportunity, like, you'll have that at least, but you have to think about it forever, and you have to be serious about it. And
thinking about it is all of it.
Oh, dude, paying attention.
Well, just
giving something attention is huge.
Yeah, but kind of almost like meditating. It's almost meditative when you start like thinking about your goal all the time, and you're just thinking about
like how it manifests itself.
It just does.
It really does.
It does do that.
It's like magic.
Yeah,
it really is. Because then you notice things that will get you closer to that goal. And you can kind of seize those opportunities.
It's like almost like obsession, and if you you kind of like keep highlighting it and highlighting it in your mind, it's like eventually like whatever we want to call it, the universe or whatever, just kind of like starts giving you doors to open.
You have to recognize them though. Yeah. It's like some people, like I feel like I'm really, for some reason, like all my friends say I'm very, very lucky, but and not even in the sense that like, my the family I was born into gave me some opportunities or something, but like literally like I'll find like money on the ground, like shit like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's this. I think some people are really good at pattern recognition, and I think like the people throughout history that have seen themselves as like psychic, I really think that had something to do with being able to recognize patterns. And we actually had a fortune teller in the shop for a while every weekend, and we always had conversations about this, and she agreed. She said the same thing. She's like, she can read people really well and like read faces really well, like for cold reading and stuff. But also the pattern recognition, man. Like she you're just attuned to those things. But like to be able to recognize an opportunity when it presents itself and not being afraid to, seize it, I think is really important. And life is so short, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. And that's where I get the courage. I'm just like, I'm going to fucking die.
Yeah.
Like if I fail at this, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Who cares if I succeed at it, honestly?
Yeah, totally.
Like, holy shit.
There's that.
200 years, no one's going to know who I was.
10.
Yeah, exactly. If I have my way. So like...
Just kidding, by the way.
I was getting ready to kind of go on. I don't know what our goal really was, but I think we were the girl I was dating at the time. We were trying to figure out where we wanted to live because this is not a sustainable place for the way we wanted to live, and we bought a camper and we sold a bunch of stuff online and at garage sales and stuff, and kind of gathered our little bit of money, and we were getting ready to go across the country and kind of do the same thing. And we had a few specific spots planned out for where we might want to settle down. And I don't know. So then this happened. So she was driving to work from one of our garage sales and got into a head-on collision with another SUV and really fucked her up.
No.
And then and fucked up her car really bad. So then we had to get her a new car and use some of the money that we had saved for that. And then it kind of just delayed things enough to where a realtor friend of mine was made aware of the space that we're in. And she's like, do you want to check this out? I know you kind of were kicking around the idea of a coffee shop. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. And I went with my parents, and they were like, yeah, this is kind of a home run. Like the reason we were even able to get it is because it was very cheap because, and we don't own the building or anything, but the rent was very cheap because places just kept failing there.
What was it before?
It was a Swiss deli.
That's right.
Okay. Pepela Heffa.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was Sag Harbor Ice Cream, and I guess it was that for a long time.
Yeah.
But when they left, it was like no one, and when they left, it was kind of like before Sag Harbor really blew up. There wasn't a lot.
It really has just like honestly, there's been like a big fixation.
It's insane.
It's been really cranking out here.
Yeah.
Something that I kind of wanted to highlight is what you've done as far as like the environment in there, because every like little coffee shop kind of has its own little feel and its own little. Like you kind of step into a new world for a second, and that's like what I like about going to coffee shops, if you will.
Yeah. It's like a work of art.
Yeah, it's like you start your day with that, or if you like. For me, like I more so like to treat myself to go get coffee. Like I like to go and like on a Sunday or something, go get some coffee with like a friend or whatever. But yeah, it's like one of the things I really like is that you've highlighted artists, and like it's kind of brought in some of the local scene.
Yeah,
I saw you had Scott Bluedorn's work in there.
Yeah, he designed our logo. Actually.
Yeah, and he's such a legendary artist. Like that kid can fucking draw.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's really
he's
awesome
a really
kid.
good dude. He came to my last garage sale actually.
He's becoming like a mycelium expert. He's all into the mushroom scene, which is really cool. And I admire
so
that.
Cool. Yeah,
and but also like the mural that somebody had, like who's the artist that drew and did like the mural on the wall?
Oh, Jake Kelly. He's actually a Cleveland artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we brought him out here and he did that.
What a really cool piece, though.
Week. Yeah, he's
and
awesome.
That's on the cup. That's like on the cup sleeves too.
Actually, that is my wife's art. She's a sick artist,
dude. That is awesome.
Yeah, she's an incredible artist. Like,
so that's her art on there.
Super talented. Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
I know.
Because I was looking at those, I was like, this must be the same guy that did the piece on the wall.
Yeah. It does look kind of similar. Yeah, it kind of ties in with.
But that is hilarious,
right? Yeah. No, she's she went to college and I majored in art and with a minor in early childhood
development
education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she wanted to do like art classes essentially for kids.
Yeah.
And
but how cool to be able to like incorporate both of your guys' situation.
Well, I told her too. I was like, hey, I need something. This is what I'm thinking. I kind of wanted it to look like a tattoo flash page or something. and she just did it, nailed it.
Yeah,
you know? And
nailed it.
Yeah, she doesn't. She would hate that I would say this, but she doesn't have time, really. I should say she doesn't really have time to pursue art. She's got so many other things going on. Like she raises our daughter.
Yeah,
and that's
huge.
A
full-time job.
Yeah,
and a half.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah,
and but you know, she is. I think she's going to be able to get into a place where she kind of incorporates her art with, you know, raising Emmy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's already started.
Yeah, totally.
That's an epic first step towards it. I mean, because it's a great way to see art, like on your coffee cup.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it's really cool. I love that, and I love when I see pictures of, like, people take pictures. I show her, I'm like, look, it's your art.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, she like rolls her eyes. Like, people that are that talented,
It's
like, they don't even
hilarious.
fucking know.
They don't even, and they don't care.
Yeah. No, it's so weird. It's like, because it's so easy for them.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know how difficult it is. And like I write music, and I've heard people that I'm very, like, jealous of, that can draw really well, are like, dude, why don't you do something with your music? I'm like, fuck you, do something with your art.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. It's easier said than done, and, you know, but when something comes very naturally to you, you just take it for granted.
Totally.
And, you know, but yeah, I did try. Originally, I was gonna have an artist every month be showcased on the board, like on the big wall.
Yeah.
There's a pegboard.
Yeah.
And you know, they would be able to sell things, and I wouldn't take any commission, but in exchange they would design something for us, like just something that we could put on a shirt or a sticker or whatever, and sell, you know, with the Grindstone name on it. You know, and because that would be great, because that would promote them and promote us.
Totally.
And totally mutually beneficial, you know, arrangement. And then I think, I don't know what it was exactly, but I think the shop just got too busy. And not like saying in a weird way, like braggy way, like we just got too busy. And my thing for the last 5 years has just been trying to keep up with the demand. And like, I'm still not out of the kitchen. Yeah. Like, I'm still, like, I came here from making dough.
Right.
Like, you know, and it's hard to find employees out here, because this is not a working class town.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, you know.
Trust me.
No one wants to work out here.
No one wants to go dig in the dirt.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, but it's interesting because people, you know, in the art community too, it can be tricky to sometimes, like, just
it's hard working with artists, man.
Well, that's what I thought you were gonna go with it.
No, it is, though, because I did a few. I worked with like 4 artists before I wasn't really able to do that anymore. And man, I mean, all my friends are artists, you know, and I know how they are, but like, Jesus, they're the flakiest people.
I hate
impossible.
that stigma.
I
hate that stigma,
it's
because
true, man.
For my life that I live like right now, is like, you know, also being a business owner, it's, you know, I have extreme accountability that I have to withhold.
Well, you have to be very organized. That's not a trait of many artists.
No, and it's, you know, for me, but I've actually been meeting a lot of artists that are just complete legends that are organizing their thoughts. I mean, I don't know, I find it really indifferent that artists would just, you know, would just delude themselves to being so 2D. Yeah. Why do you want to be so 2D? Why do you want to be the person that's unreliable and that is you can't, you know, that is hard to work with? Like, that to me is just so weak sauce. And half the time the people that are those artists, like, nice work, but you're not curing cancer, bro. Or whoever. Like, you know, it's like that ego that's attached to it of like just of aloof. And I think a lot of people enable that. So like, well, they need to be that way to be creative. And how about fucking bullshit? How about your mind operates the best when you're fucking pristine and you're running on all 8? That's when you're going to be all inclusive and fully present. When you're just kind of schlocking around and you're kind of just, you know, showing up late to everything and not being accountable for
not
things.
Responding to people.
How about fuck that? And I think there's a change in tide with that, and those are the people I really want to work with. The people that I've worked with that have been that other way, I can tell you. I'll tell you right now that we are not doing the things together anymore, because you show me the cards. And I have plenty of other people that want to work together and collaborate and do cool shit. And, you know, a lot of people, they ride on their clout that they think they have. They think they have Instagram followers. And
And well, I was gonna say, that's the thing that is like, kind of that's a great part of social media, is making a lot of artists way more visible. Than, you know, and it's very easy for an artist to become visible. But the downside, I would say, as someone who tries to be an original thinker,
Yeah.
you realize really quick, if you're paying attention, you're not original.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
If you think you are, there are 20 other people who are exactly like you, thinking the exact. I mean, look how many things that we think the same way on, and we're not the same person at all. But you know, even as far as like the you know, we get our main media, you know, from the same place, you know, and rely on it. Like we think in similar ways. We're paying attention to the same things, and we're only, I mean, we're acquaintances, you know, but there are people out there that we will never know exist that are probably more similar to each of us than, you know, and it's fucking crazy, and it's kind of humbling if you take it seriously. It's like, you're not original, man. You're like, you're your own person, but you're not fucking original. And people that think they are, man, are just deluding themselves.
It scares me, honestly, because there's
weird. It's weird to think about.
I know a couple guys that are like, I could just go off about that. Like, the level of their delusion is terrifying, and
they think the world is so small.
It really comes from a place of insecurity. Most of the time, when people have that ego attached to them, they're so egotistical in the way that it really is, that it really comes from like a kind of a more sad place. It's like really insecure. And so I try to like be empathetic to it, but at the same time too, people are kind of like dicks about things, and like they just like, you know, they're not being empathetic, and they're just like trying to get everyone to look at them in like a certain way, or you know, or like, you know, like I've done shows with people where it's like, you know, fucking people show up an hour late to their situation or our situation, and it's just like, you know, and then people like, they don't really care. No one holds anybody really accountable in that space because it's expression, or I think that, like I said, I think there's a real change of tide in that, and people are really out on that kind of bullshit.
Good.
Like, you know, dealing with galleries that don't do shit for you, dealing with people that don't really have your best interest at mind, or like, or in at hand, and dealing with other artists that like really aren't trying to like you know, help prop you up. And because for me, like when I meet other artists, I'm like, hey, like when I had a gallery in the city for a couple of years, a friend of mine let us use a space, and we got to talking. And he's like, yeah, just utilize it. Like, have a gallery here. So same thing. I like opened up the walls to people to be able to come in and showcase their art. And I was like, I don't want any commission. I just want to be able to give you a platform that was given to me.
Right.
I'm not going to profiteer off of it and just say, oh, let me like now try to churn some money out of it.
Yeah.
Take all the commission. I don't want anything. Come put your own art on the wall. But, you know,
just for the sake of the art, right?
For the sake of the art, but also it's like,
for everyone around you.
I was given the opportunity, you know, so it's like, I'm not going to then just turn around and try to like profit off of it.
Be selfish with it, yeah.
And so, I don't know, I just see like a lot of people that I have worked, not a lot, but a few that I've worked with in the past that just like, it's such a bummer, man, because they are creating some cool stuff sometimes, but the way that their ego is in front of them, and the way that like people will just kind of disassociate with allowing themselves to be this two-dimensional being. Like for me, I would feel like a little dumb if someone was like, oh, well, these are the traits that you can associate him, because he's an artist, you know, because he's an artist, he's so expressive that he has to be late, and he has to, you know, be difficult to work with,
it puts you in a box.
and then communicate strangely. Like you're inept.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. Like, and some people would call it some way meaner shit, but I'm not even gonna go there with it. Like, but dude, like, how about like be on your game? How about be the best you possibly can be? Like, how about treat it like it's actually something you're passionate about?
Well, that's kind of goes back to what I was saying about people like feeling like nothing is worth anything. Like people are very nihilist, and like they don't have encouragement, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot, especially I would say a lot of people that are artists, like, man, not encouraged. They're just not, you know, like no one is. I feel like no one I know. I asked my buddy, I was like, I was joking with him. We were at dinner the other night, and I was joking with him. He was like, I can't sleep. I never sleep. I'm like, well, you should get married and have some kids, man. Like that, you'll fucking sleep then. And he was like, hard pass. And I was like, you know, I laughed it off, but I was like, damn, dude, like, you really hard pass on that, on the thing that, like, generally throughout history, people have said was the most meaningful thing they've ever done. Yeah. You know, like, you're gonna trade that for drinking every fucking night? Yeah. Like, that is what you're hard passing for. Yeah. You know, like that's not a good substitution. And like, so I asked him today, I was like, dude, do you think life is like inevitably suffering? And you know, it is. And I think it is. And he was like, yeah, definitely. Also, yikes. It's like, I'm like, all right, whatever. You know who I am. Like, you know I'm going to ask you these fucking questions. And I was like, well, what is your best plan to deal with it? And he just didn't answer.
Really?
Yeah, he's not answered still.
Well, nobody.
I mean, it's not an easy question, that's for sure. He probably wasn't ready for it. Maybe he's fucking working or something. I don't know.
Maybe he's still drinking.
Yeah, for real. I mean, he does. He drinks every day, and I feel bad, man. Like, you're not here for long.
Yeah.
And I sometimes I wonder if I'm too hung up on that. Like, but I got run over when I was 13. You've been in some crazy car accidents and stuff. Like, have you ever had any near-death experiences?
Too many to count.
Yeah, so that's why you take shit seriously.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
I've like literally been knocked out before and met other beings that were not there and had some I've floated up above my body and looked down at myself. I swear.
So
dude, I quote unquote, people will think I'm nuts, and I've really only like shared this intimately with like not so many people, like when I trust them, but I'll share it openly. I don't give a fuck.
Good.
But I've like met something that like seems like what the white light might be, while being out conscious, like or unconscious rather, and just fucking weird shit like that has happened. Being completely knocked out, zonked out, not being able to remember for a few days. That'll make you appreciate life a little bit.
Yeah, I got run over when I was 13, stuck under a car of an Olds 98, and I was kind of all twisted up in the wheel well even a little bit, and it was just
Jesus
totally
Christ.
on top of me, crushing me. And I was coming home. I was doing. It sounds good. I was working at cancer benefit, but I was doing it as part of community service. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I leave that part out when I'm telling my grandma.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so I was coming back from that, and it was starting to rain a little bit, so I started jogging, and I went to go jog across the side street, and it was blinking don't walk, and it was like, I gotta make this, and started jogging across the street. Guy came up from the side street going to make a right on red. You know, when you do that, you know, you don't stop at the line.
Right, no. You stop over the line, a whole car width.
And you're looking left to see if there's any cars coming.
Yep.
So he was looking left, came up, nailed me, didn't even really know. I think he wasn't sure, and then he kind of looked over, and I was already on the ground.
Jesus.
I remember seeing the car, seeing it come at me, trying to jump back, and then it hit me, and I fell, and then it came over me, and I got twisted up underneath it. And I just remember seeing the restaurant that was behind me. I was like all of a sudden looking that way, kind of on the ground.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is it. This is how, and it was very calming.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, but
every time.
It's very calming. Like when you're in that kind of I'm gonna die situation.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is it. Don't feel anything. Your body goes into shock. My body felt like metal. Like it felt like aluminum foil being crumpled up. And I was just like, man, I really... I wish I could see my mom again.
Yeah.
And then 4 guys came out from a car that was passing by and saw the whole thing happen. Thank God, 4 grown-ass men came up and lifted the front end of the car up, and another guy pulled me out.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you break anything or have
No, man, I didn't break anything.
No head injury?
No, I had burns all over from the underside of the car and road rash, really bad. I had a bruised hip, and that was the worst thing that happened. I was 13, Yeah, it was very lucky. And but I was out, I was like, I couldn't really. It was at the beginning of summer, and I that just took my summer out. And I was on like crutches and stuff because I couldn't really move really, well after that. But yeah, nothing major, like no breaks, nothing crazy. And but since then, man, that was 13. So like, think about what your brain's going through when you're 13. That really changed my perspective on things. Like it really was like, damn, like at any time, it can be over. Yeah. And like I do, obviously, like anyone, I forget that. But I think about it a lot more than a lot of people do. Yeah. And my wife gets so fucking annoyed at me for being all like existentialist and like she'd be like, "Oh my God, take off your shoes or you have to close the back door or close the screen. You know, the bugs are getting in. I'm like, who fucking cares? Who cares? We're going to die. We're going to be dust. We're going to be nothing. You know, I can't like break that line of thinking sometimes, you know, and especially after I've like smoked a bunch of weed all day, and I'm just like, you know, nothing really matters. I got put on the medical marijuana program for New York for a while,
cool. Okay.
and they have these vape pens that they give you, and I don't know where they're getting this weed, but Jesus Christ. It is the best shit that's out there. I swear to God. Yeah, government sanctioned weed is just crazy.
Yeah.
And every day I go into the shop at like 3:30 in the morning, start making donuts, you know, cutting, you know, rolling out dough and cutting donuts and stuff. And I'd rip this pen a few times.
Yeah.
And it would just take me to another place. Like seriously, like I've been smoking weed for like, you know, over 10 years, and this stuff was like, it put me into another state to where I like wrote down in my phone, like, and I really remember believing nothing is real.
Yeah.
I really remember thinking like, and figuring it out and being like, oh wow, yeah, like this is actually not real at all. I can't remember exactly how I got to that point and like what exactly I was thinking, but I remember believing it so wholeheartely, like this is not real. Yeah. This does not matter. And that sounds like such a fucking stony baloney thing, but like it's something I still do believe. Like I don't believe that this is it, you know, and because it can't be. Like what the fuck?
What do you mean as far as it? Like this is like our dimension that we live in.
And that's it just feels like there's more. It feels
there's more. We just can't comprehend it somehow.
Yeah.
You know, like it's.
Yeah. Like how you can't, like our brains do the best we can to deal with like time, like,
which is like our own concept of.
Yeah, but like that might be going on all at once, you know.
It's I know, but that's like that can go so deep because there definitely is something more to everything. It just
you just feel like there is, right? Like
instinctually,
everyone kind of feels it. Like
everyone
it has to
feels
be,
it. Everyone
unless it's
feels
a big
it.
joke, and like we're just supposed to feel that so we do better in life or something.
Look, I mean, when I've been laying in the dirt and I've literally hovered above my body and you know, and then felt like I've met a white light, like being in that same, you know, in that same setting, and I'm open to the fact that everything's neurological. Ghosts, aliens, everything is just a neuro program that like we are kind of amidst in, and we're creating these like fears of dark. And you know, for me, I personally, I can pretty much go walk in the dark in the middle of the woods by myself, and I don't have anything. I have no demons.
Yeah.
I have no feelings of like, you know, of something being scary. But I will tell you, I've stayed in some really interesting, old, abandoned, weird places on the East Coast that feel like there is energy inside them. And I don't know what that is. Is it maybe my own mind that is like psyching me out to where I'm like, oh, there's energy here.
Like there might be,
and your hairs stand up on your arm and you feel like a presence of some sort. But I can't deny the feelings that I definitely get in those moments. And why do we have stories for centuries of people seeing things? And I've talked to scientists as well that have like, you know, leading scientists in this world. Actually, this one woman I know, she says she saw a ghost with her husband, and he saw it too. And these are like top level people that are very science facts. Yeah. They don't fuck around with shit like that. You know, she's very like makes sense of everything. And you know, when she kind of
what did she say about it? Is she unable to explain it, or
she explained it very well, like she does most things. That's what I love about a lot of scientists.
Yeah.
They're very like they can
very articulate.
They can articulate things, and they're very descriptive on how they like, you know, tell the story. And yeah, she like had saw this being in the room, and so she went back and she found photos from the people that owned the house before, and she's like, that's the guy. And the husband said the same thing. And, you know, so just hearing stories like that of like people seeing ghosts or seeing energies or seeing orbs and having present feelings. Like I said, I kind of I diminish it and I downplay it a little bit by saying maybe it is neurological, because I have bumped my head a lot of times. But you know, people say sometimes you kind of knock those screws loose to being open and vulnerable to those things.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when you have near-death experiences, but also maybe you just fucking bumped your head, dude. You know? And so like I think that there is something more to all of this, but you know, obviously it's really hard to put a finger on any of it. It's just knowing that there is something more.
It's a futile, you know, pursuit. You know, it's fun to think about, but like ultimately you don't know until it happens.
Yeah, like recently someone was like telling me about reincarnation. Like, well, you know, that person that's gonna reincarnate. I'm like, well, maybe. Yeah, maybe it does. I'm open to all things.
Yeah,
I'm open to all the things. It seems like there's a little bit of truth to everything. The Loch Ness monster probably exists.
The thing that bothers me about reincarnation is if you are going to reincarnate, why would you reincarnate as, like, think of how many planets there are that can sustain life. Why would you reincarnate back onto this planet? Like, that seems so limited.
Well, maybe you don't. I think that's maybe the misconception of Buddhism. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people that kind of like align with Buddhist-esque lifestyle, if you will. But like most things, everyone cherry picks. You know, they're like, "Oh, I'm a Buddhist, except for that part and that part and that part, and that part."
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different like sects of Buddhism. There's like some very serious ones. Yeah. And there's like Zen Buddhism and stuff. And
like, I'm not taking a vow of silence until that much. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, some Buddhists say that kind of shit is useless anyway, because then you're a stone Buddha, and like, what's the point of that?
It seems like there's not a lot of progression based off of that.
Yeah.
But a lot. I've watched this documentary recently about a guy that spent a year in silence out in the forest, and I mean, that
it changes your brain.
That definitely sounds like prison to me. Like for me to get to that point, really? I need to have extreme heartbreak. I need to get away from civilization. Like that to me seems like that's something you go do when you got some trauma to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, I know people like that have gotten stuck in caves and stuff for a long period of time. It's not very long until they start hearing voices.
Oh.
It's like 40 days.
And what is that? Is that just completely neurological, or is that dimension, seeping in?
Yeah.
You know, is that dimension like, okay, we have somebody, all right.
Or like solitary confinement.
We're coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those are all just nightmares.
Or is that like because we're such intensely social creatures? Like, is that just a way to keep us from going insane, or a preservation thing to keep us from just fucking killing ourselves?
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
I don't know. I really like alone time. I was an only child.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in the woods by myself when I was little, and I love it, man.
Yeah.
It like every now and then, like I was saying, I need. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's less of just being in the woods, but maybe it's more just being alone.
Yeah.
You know, that I really need every now and then.
Yeah.
Like I need to get away from like this and from my phone, and you know, and I don't know, man. There's something like I just feel like I am drained with all that stuff. Like, you know, I think I'm not. I'm clearly not. You know, shy. You know, I'm not an introvert. I thought I was for a while though. I really did. I was like, well, because when I talk to people, like I feel like it takes a ton of energy out of me.
Yeah.
And
that's because you're actually communicating and being genuine a lot of times. I mean, if when I go to an art show or something and I happen to be there, and afterwards I feel like I just did like a running race.
Yeah. Being like that kind of social,
you get depleted.
It's very like there's a difference. Like our at the shop, the front of the house that works with the guests, and the back of the house that works and does all the like really like heavy lifting, moving around and stuff. Like, but man, there's an argument to be made that the front of the house is more taxing.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so. Just keeping a smile on your face when you have a shit day.
Yeah,
you have a fight with your significant other.
Yeah,
and then you got to be there and sell coffee and donuts.
I mean, just having 100 conversations, 100 small talk conversations in a row.
Yeah,
like that is fucking hard.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? How many times can you say that in your life?
It's crazy, man.
You know?
Yeah, and
why
by the
would we
end
develop
of the
something
day,
different?
What's that?
Why wouldn't we develop something different other than "Hey, how you doing"?
How are you? Well, I mean,
like
out here, people say "What's doing?" The older people. Have you ever hear that?
No.
Yeah, EastEnders. They say "What's doing?" and I never know how to answer because I'm like, I don't really know what that means.
Do we want to dissect this right now?
What's up? You know? Yeah. What's doing? Good.
Yeah. You ever had that moment when someone's like, they're like, I forget how like they word it, but like they'll say like, "Hey, how you doing?" and you're like, you answer it wrong because you're already anticipating.
Yeah.
What is the way that they would say it? Like,
"What's up? Good."
Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's up? Good, great. What?
Yeah.
Or if you're on a flight and like they give you your ticket, they're like, "All right, have a nice flight." You're like, "You too."
Oh god,
I do that all the time.
I'm so aware of that. I start thinking about that whenever a server comes over or something.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I remember. That happened actually. I noticed it. I didn't call her out on it, but my wife said that to the person giving us tickets at Cedar Point. She was like, "All right, enjoy the rides," and she's like, "You too." Like, enjoy watching the rides from your fucking podium. Yeah.
Oh, I love that though. Like every time I do it, I'm like, I'm such a fucking idiot.
Yeah, the best thing you can do in that situation is call yourself out on it because you know the person that's sitting there has like experienced that 10 times that day.
And I feel like sometimes they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Here he is. He's not paying attention.
Yeah.
Got him.
Yeah. It's like, you know, you want to be nice and have small talk. Some people hate small talk, man. I don't mind it. I think it's easy or whatever. But some people are like, oh, it's a waste of time. I'm like, well, what are you gonna talk about? Fucking like quantum physics with every single person you meet?
Yeah,
like,
no.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like just make small talk.
Yeah,
It keeps
say what's
people.
up.
It puts people at ease.
I'm telling you, I told a woman, like, I held the door open for a woman like maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's kind of like resonated with me. It was like a random thing. It's like now that we have automated doors in so many places, it's like you rarely get to hold the door open for a person. But I sat there and I held the door for like a long time, and then she like came and she like got to the door, and then we like both went inside the store. We're doing our shopping. And then she was like trying to reach for something like on a shelf, and like literally she couldn't reach this. I'm like, jeez, this lady is fucking just all right. And then so she like comes over and she's kind of like fucking with her face mask, and she's like kind of just seems like she's like all over the map a little bit.
Having a time.
And yeah, so like I like grabbed the thing off the top shelf. I'm like, and I'm not even tall, but I was like, oh, okay, here I am, like I'm a heightist all of a sudden. Oh, here you are. And so I gave her the chips which she was grabbing for, and afterwards she's like comes over and she like takes her face mask. She's like, I just want to say thank you so much for helping me. You held the door open. I haven't had somebody hold the door open for me in, well, shit, I don't even know how long.
Oh, God. That's such a drag.
And I'm like, well, and it's so funny that, like, we don't, like, think of, like, holding a door open for somebody as, like, being, like, a nice thing.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah.
It's
like,
a really nice
it's like,
gesture.
Even just, like, saying, hey, hi, and, like...
putting them before you.
Yeah,
like,
giving
not
somebody,
a lot of
like...
people do that.
You know how many before you used to be able to, like, smile at people? Like, for now, that's when you're not smiling at people. You're not giving somebody, like, nice gestures. Like, you know, obviously some people can be creepy about how they smile at you for sure. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I think that we're really missing out on, like, that human connection where we're giving each other expression and holding a door open for each other.
One of the worst things about the mask is it takes away the identity of the person you're faced with.
No, I think the same. It's just like we're
it's
missing out on
a dehumanizing thing, man.
It really is.
Yeah,
I fucking hate.
I hope it stops soon.
I do too.
Because it sucks.
It's really unhealthy and quite honestly,
right.
It really is. It's like it's been proven to like wear a mask is really like taxing on your immune system, and obviously you don't want people getting COVID. Obviously there happens to be. COVID does seem to be like a prevalent thing, and things that people are getting COVID, but
are most people like pretty okay with getting it though? Like it was mostly really old people that had comorbidities and stuff.
I personally, I hate even saying this, but like, and I'm not denying
there's a lot
anything.
of information out there, so we're just speculating.
And I'm a fucking idiot. Let's just be honest. Like, but I will say, like, I don't know one person that's got it.
Me either. And we're in New York. We're in Ground Zero.
Ground Zero. I don't know one person that's died from it for sure.
Yeah.
It's every single time. It's like, oh, well, no, my brother's friend got it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, do you know anybody that got it? No.
One of my customers' father died from it.
Yeah.
And he was 79.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
that's kind of always the case.
I know a girl whose dad had got it in Italy. And I hear, but like it's always 2 degrees.
Yeah.
It's never like I haven't met one person that's like, yeah, no, I had it.
Oh, I did. My old trainer from Sag Gym got it. He actually moved away from New York. He just moved to Oregon. And he got it.
No way.
Yeah, but he was like, dude, it was nothing.
And I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not denying anything. Like, listen, I know
it's
real.
Real,
I know
but
people
I don't
are dying.
think and we thought it was going to be a lot worse than it ended up being. So I think it's time to like dial back this fucking response. That's all. I mean,
well, it seems like numbers are increasing in other places, but we just don't even fucking know what's real anymore. It's just really such a shame.
So numbers increase, but it's like, is testing increasing?
Right.
Why are the numbers increasing? Yeah. Are more people getting tested? We're going into flu season. Are we going to have some false positives?
I mean, I wear the mask simply just to be considerate to other people.
Exactly. That's why you do it.
And I don't think anybody should be above that, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
If you think you're above that, like, I'm mentioning that I do think that there are health complications to wearing a fucking mask all the time. Wearing a piece of fabric over your face is obviously not the most healthy thing.
Or how about quarantining all summer?
And obviously, the worst of the thing would be to get COVID. I get that. But at the end of the day, obviously we want our society to be back to what it was.
Dude, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I think in February, I think we all had it. In my shop, at least.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you guys get tested?
No, because there was no testing yet. But we were all sick. I went through my appointments, my messages, and my emails. My accountant had to call off an appointment because she was deathly ill for a week.
Yeah.
I have a list. Like, it just went down for like a week. It was like every single person that I was supposed to meet with had to call off. It was a nasty flu going around, and people were sick for like a week and a half. My best friend got sick. He lost his sense of smell.
But it also could have just been a flu.
Yeah, it could have been.
It could have just been like a strain of flu.
I need to get the antibody test because this is still a pet theory of mine. You know?
And I mean,
when I got sick at the same time as all those other people, it just wiped me out. Like I could not get out of bed for like 2 days, and then I was okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm hearing from the people. Like my trainer, he's a very healthy dude. He's fucking jacked.
Yeah.
Like he's a monster. And he got it, and he's like, yeah, I just feel like pretty worn out. You know.
But people also forget that there are other sicknesses, and like almost every year, my one friend, he's like on antibiotics almost every single year. He's like hacking up green shit, like literally the color of that tooth. Not at all. Wow. He's very healthy, but like every year he's sick. I mean, he's deathly sick, and he cannot get out of bed.
What's his diet like? Does he have a shitty diet?
Nope, not even. Wow. Nope, but he's gets sick
shitty immune system.
Every time the weather changes, you know, the fall and the spring, he's sick, and he's got to get on antibiotics, and it's every single time.
Dude,
and he tries to fight
avoid antibiotics, right? I mean at all costs.
I never take them, to be honest, unless I really have to.
Yeah, no, you don't just get that.
No, but I've tried to have a conversation with him based on that too, but it's like, you know, people are forgetting that people also do get sick. You cough inside a store, you don't have COVID. You know, that's not what that means.
Right.
Literally, I was in the bank.
You know what the flu season's going to be like this year? Oh. It's going to suck, man. People are going to be freaking out all winter.
I know.
I'm already preparing for it, like with the shop. Like we're going to put a little scannable code outside that you can just hit and order anything you want and just stand outside if you don't want to come in.
That's the way to do it. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, going back to like pivoting and moving and shaking, like, you got to think ahead on all that shit, because it's definitely about to be different and change, and
that's pattern recognition, man.
You have to data chunk.
Yeah.
You got to data chunk and then execute different plans and be ready for things. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I feel like
well, for 18 to 45, death rate is 0.02%.
Yeah,
that's not a lot, dude. You know?
Yeah,
my mom was like,
I'm not a mathematician, but it doesn't sound like a lot.
No, it's not. When I was like, yeah, I'm going to Cleveland, she was like, you are? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, be careful. I was like, I'm coming from New York.
Yeah.
You know, it's not worse than here.
Yeah.
No one is worse off than we are.
Yeah.
You know.
And
we're the hub of the fucking country. You know, like that's why it came here first.
Yeah.
Like people were flying here literally from China or Europe or wherever, you know, where it was spreading from first. And of course it's going to start here. Like, of course it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a big airport.
Yeah. You know? It seems like it didn't even start here, though. It seems like it started in Seattle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, those were the first kind of reported cases. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
and then my brother and I, we were flying to BC. Like as it was happening, my mom was so worried. I'm like, Jesus, this is so classic mom stuff. She's like, you guys are in Seattle right now. Like, what's the airport like? We're like, it's empty. It was the best flying experience we had in a long time.
Dude, yeah, we just flew out of MacArthur. There was like 2 other people in the whole airport. Yeah. It was amazing.
I was just at JFK. Same thing. I was like, what? This is some apocalyptic shit. Like, this is so. How is this? How are these people staying in business? And I could go on and on about all that.
Yeah, it sucks. All the ripple effects, those things all suck. But man, as far as convenience, dude, it's been awesome.
Yeah, totally.
It's like and in New York,
no security line.
All of a sudden, and then all of a sudden in New York, people understand personal space.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's great. Yeah. This is so awesome for me. Like I have a picture of our shop. The week kind of before everything shut down. It was the end of February, I want to say, when they had Harbor Frost. Yeah, you know, and. I mean, dude, that shop would get packed out. Like, it's a small shop. It's like 900 square feet. Yeah. And there were 25 people in the shop.
Just snaked through.
Just all sitting there breathing the same air. Can you imagine now? Like, that, you know, that would, you would lose your business license if that shit was going down right now.
Well, it's crazy because the only time I've really actually enjoyed wearing the mask was on the fucking airplane.
Yeah, I think me and my buddy were just talking about this. We're like, after this all kind of stops and the masks go away and stuff, that might be a place where I still wear it. You know?
I didn't mind it because, you know, you're not smelling all the terrible things of an airplane, which is crazy.
And
you know,
it's circulated air, and you always get sick on an airplane. Like, you always get sick, not like motion sickness, but you get like that sick, you know, just from breathing everyone's shit.
You feel nasty for one. You just feel nasty after you get off a plane. But yeah, no, it's just like that was like one thing I was like, this like I may actually still wear a mask in the airport.
There are some situations where I'll definitely and like I think. Maybe it was Fauci was like, yeah, if I have it my way, we'll never be shaking hands again. It's like, all right, you know, I mean, there was the fist bump, I guess, but you know, I mean, there is something about I did shake your hand when you walked in.
I guess they say that there was a guy on Joe Rogan's podcast that came on and said that when you shake hands with somebody that you actually are sharing biological DNA forever.
Oh, interesting.
Like basically forever.
Yeah, I've heard that with women. With every guy a woman has had sex with, they retain their DNA forever.
I would say it's probably the same.
So
for
probably
a man.
Same concept. Yeah,
it's probably the same back to a man though.
Yeah.
I think that there's more like we're very absorbent.
Yeah.
Like
porous.
this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like you spray. It's like you wash your hands with gasoline. You're probably gonna feel a little bit different.
Yeah,
you might get a little sick feeling.
Spray off all over your body. Feel different.
Yeah, you might start thinking a little differently.
Yeah.
Have you seen Dozer on Netflix?
Yeah, I remember that movie. I saw the movie when it came. Oh wait, is that the one about the guy who like crashes at people's houses and stuff, and he's like a party guy?
No. This one's about the guy that like fabricates a big bulldozer and then goes.
Oh yeah, the killdozer guy.
Yeah. And he goes around and
he's like a libertarian kind of idol. You know, for saying fuck you to the government and stuff.
Big time situation like that.
I didn't watch it yet though, no. I just know the story.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that guy, I mean...
That guy, man, he got fucked over really bad by his local government, right?
He definitely
did. They kind of put his business... They put him out of business by...
He got the first-hand deal with, bureaucracy and people being tied in and being in bed with each other. But, that... To me, it's like I wonder sometimes, like, there was definitely some of that, but I wonder, like, what if there's other aspects to it that got him to, like, actually fully go over the edge. It was so funny because the way that he described it was like, this all happened for a reason. I was supposed to do this thing. It's just... Yeah,
I mean, for sure, if it happened to 100 other people, 99 of them probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
He probably had some experiences and pre-existing issues.
Might have been in the water,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Or, like, definitely... It takes a specific kind of person.
They go all the way
to do that. Yeah,
and he just offed himself in the cab, which was crazy. It's like,
yeah, that's right. But didn't he like he didn't just kind of go on a rampage? Like, didn't he go? He like tried to knock down the house of like the city councilman that really fucked him over.
He was very systematic about it.
I mean that's pretty awesome.
Dude, I was feeling that.
You're rooting for him at that point,
a little bit.
And from what I remember, they really fucked him over.
Yeah,
and
they tried to run him out.
I can see that, man. Like I can see, local, mid-level politicians like that just think they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Like the kind of people that rise up into political power are fucking maniacs.
There's
you
definitely
have
an interesting psychological aspect there.
Yeah, it sucks because the people that should probably be running things are not the kind of people that are gonna try to run things.
Yeah.
The people that want to run things are the last people you want running things.
Yeah, I know. It seems odd like that. It's like when you for my school, it's like it's like you start seeing it at that level. Like when you're in high school, it's like who runs for class president, who runs for this thing or that. It's like. It is interesting.
Bunch of narcissists.
Maybe so. I remember the one kid that like ran for class president. He was like really funny and charismatic kid, and was like really silly. It's like I wonder if they're involved in politics and like what gets you into that like at such an early age. But I don't know. Personally, now I'm so happy just being in my own little world of what I do. And
I've thought of running for mayor of Sag Harbor.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is there a mayor of Sag Harbor?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Kathleen Mulcahy.
Oh, interesting.
I email her regularly.
Do you?
Just asking her to do shit.
No fucking way.
You're an elected official. You work for me.
That is insane.
Like
I know of like Jesse Warren, the kid from Southampton.
Yeah, he's a young dude, right? Yeah, and he's done some cool shit. And actually, I think they just elected a new mayor of East Hampton. Jerry Larson.
So is this something you're actually thinking of doing?
Yeah, like 10% right now, but like
that's not nothing.
I take it actually more seriously than 10%, but it's like I think a 10% chance that I'll actually do it. Because,
right.
Again, I'm not the kind of person that would actually pursue something like that,
Yeah.
but I think it would be cool to do, and I think it's an attainable goal. Maybe that's part of why I think about it so much, because it's a small town, and I think I could do some serious good because I can run a business, and I do have an outsider's perspective, so I have kind of relatively fresh eyes on the community, I see, and I didn't like grow up here. Like I think like a lot of the mayors of Sag Harbor grew up here, and see it very one-dimensionally and don't want things to change, and that's why it's like it's good in a sense, like to conserve what you have is great. Conservation is great, but telling people no just because you don't like change, is not great. And like they're very bureaucratic. Yeah. Like everyone calls it the land of no. It's like,
I've said that many a times.
Yeah. Well, East Hampton just got a new mayor. It's Jerry Larson. He was the former police chief, and his main thing, I think, as far as I've heard, is to change the licensing for the businesses because to have a restaurant in the Hamptons, you have to have a building that's wet zoned.
Right.
And so that means that they need a septic tank,
right.
because the infrastructure here is fucking old.
Yeah.
And we're on an island, and so he's trying to really, because East Hampton's dying because it doesn't have any fucking restaurants anymore, and it used to be like half and half, like SAG. Like that's why SAG does so well.
Yeah.
We have tons of restaurants and tons of shops that can, and they support each other. People go out to eat, then they walk around the shops, and it's great. And East Hampton is kind of a ghost town, especially in the off season, because they just
especially in the off season.
Yeah, because they just have shops. There's a few restaurants, but
really. It's like Rowdy
not
Hall.
Really. Yeah, there's Rowdy Hall. There's Cheetah Nova. There's a couple pizza places. Fiero's and Sam's.
Go to Cinderella for lunch.
Go to the salad bar at Cinderella. Great.
Yeah.
There's nothing, man,
Yeah,
and it's all retail, and that's fine in the summer, but like. Dude, and I know those rent prices. Like, it's $15,000, $20,000 a month for those little retail shops.
It's crazy.
That's and they're not going to allow big corporations to come in. Like, who the fuck do you think is going to rent those shops out?
Right. So far, private people.
Yeah, private people that don't need to make any money, so they don't give a shit about the community or when they're open or who they're catering to. It's people with no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Like, that was what was different about us. Like, I came in, I was like, I'm going to be open every fucking day. Like, I'm not going to close down in the off season. We're like, we're going to be here for the people that live here. Because holy shit, like, you're going to take their money. They deserve something.
Yeah, totally.
So he's trying to change some of the. It's like basically impossible right now to get something wet zoned again.
Right.
And he's trying to change that. So he's trying to like turn East Hampton around. And like the guy from Southampton, he did some awesome stuff. Like he's like allowing food trucks. I think if you rent a shop,
right.
So like if you have a space, you can put a food truck in front of it.
Well, that's because the food trucks used to be like a lottery at the beach. I used to think about doing like a food truck situation.
$10,000 for main beach spot.
Yep, it's crazy, and it's a lottery. You're not even guaranteed it.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I thought it was like a bidding system.
No,
it's a lottery.
No, it's a lottery, and I think it's kind of monopolized too. Like that's like whether it's like Mr. Softy and like this other shit. It's like you can't just go buy like a California taco truck and do it up and start doing Taco Tuesday down at Cooper's Beach.
It's the only reason we haven't done a food truck yet. You can't fucking do them anywhere. Like you have to if you get a peddler's license, you have to move at least 200 feet every 15 minutes, I think. So like you can get an ice cream truck
not even
and go
enough
down the street.
Yeah, gotcha. That's probably why they have ice cream like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. And I've thought like, well, maybe we could, instead of being on the street, we could just rent our truck out to, like, in the fall and in the summer, we could rent out to like Balsam or a farmer's market or something and park on their lot. But I did contact. Was it Balsam? I think I contacted the owner of Balsam, and he was like, yeah, there's some legal reasons why we can't do it. And, there's no way to do anything out here. There's just so much fucking bureaucracy. It's crazy.
Weird. It's weird how the coffee trucks just get away, like at all the job sites. Like that's
the
new
shitty
thing.
Like hot dog trucks.
They got the worst food you could ever imagine on there, but those guys are going around hustling, doing cash deals. Yeah. That's like the evolution. Go to the job sites for lunch, have one of those trucks just cruising around.
Yeah.
Crush it.
I mean, we might still get one anyway, we could rent it out to
need the
private parties, really.
Well, there's that, but I mean, I'm telling you have a bunch of pre-made like wraps or those sandwiches that you guys have and the coffee jug right on the back. Mm-hmm. You just have that thing just ready to rock, and you show up at job sites.
And then take off in 10 minutes.
Like 3 or 4 vans.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Get them all wrapped with that artwork from some of the artists that you use.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty epic, I think.
We're actually working on our branding right now. It's going to be done pretty soon. We're going to come out with a bunch of new merchandise, and then we're going to start up our nationwide coffee shipping program. So that'll be cool.
So you're looking to expand and go other places?
Yeah. I actually was looking. I mean, I'm always looking for kind of the next thing, but it's always like fluid, whether that's going to be another brick and mortar, or if it's going to be something in another state, or another business entirely, whatever. Like I bought this local ice cream company last winter, I guess it was, Joe and Liza's.
No, I was gonna ask you if that was
Yeah.
You bought them?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
So that's
hilarious.
my prep kitchen now.
Their ice cream is so good.
It is. It was good. It was really good.
Is it slow churned? Like it's more homemade.
Yeah, it's made in small batches. So that was cool, and it was made with decent ingredients, I would say. It was made with better ingredients when the original owners had it, and then some people bought it and kind of lowered the quality of everything, and then they were just done very quickly. So I started developing ice cream, and we were doing Grindstone ice cream and approaching it the same way we approach the donuts, like highest quality ingredients, crazy, not like unapproachable flavors, nothing too insane, but like, some classics and some innovative stuff. And unfortunately, the girl that I was developing it with was the pastry chef at Topping Rose. She started like waking up with back pain, and all of a sudden, like she was like, I can't work. I got to figure this out. So she went to a bunch of doctors, and they eventually found out that she had stage 4 bone cancer.
Fuck.
She's like 25.
What?
Yeah. Really, it was, and of course, she's one of the nicest, and not just saying this, like she's literally one of those people that's like, comes in, she's like, hey, how are you? It's so good to see you. Oh my God. And she's always like she's like a puppy, you know?
Yeah.
And so of course it happened to her. And so she's going through chemo right now.
Fuck.
And and
shout out to her.
Yeah,
Jesus
Amy,
fucking Christ.
hang in there. We're all praying for you.
That sucks.
Yeah, so she is doing a little better. She's gotten some scans recently, and she's they said the tumor shrank a lot more than they thought it was, or they thought it would, even for the aggressive chemo that she's getting and stuff. But it sucks, man. And again, it's like you never know
that shit is
how quickly life will turn on you like that.
That really just kind of like resonates, because it's just like I know a couple people that are dealing with something similar like that, and it's just why?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like, why do good things happen? There's no answer. But so I kind of put that on the back burner, and once she was kind of taken out, and we were getting a little closer. But man, the ice cream, like when you want to do it at that level, like that crazy quality, like we were getting this Heritage A2 milk. Have you ever heard of that? It's called A2.
No.
It's made with it's from specific cows, like heritage cows, and it comes from a specific farm in Ohio, and we were getting the milk from there, and it's just the craziest milk you've ever had in your life. It's not just like store-bought, like, whatever shitty. It's like creamy and like sweet, and it's just milk. It's just whole milk.
Yeah.
But it was like the fat content, I think it was like 30% higher or something.
Right.
So the flavor just carries, and it was amazing for making ice cream. Even just like regular unflavored ice cream that was just like a kind of a sweet cream ice cream. It was some of the best shit I've ever had in my life.
Interesting.
And I don't know if we still might have some samples, but we were doing like crazy chocolate and like making fresh mint, like mulling the mint and into the cream, like cooking the mint in the cream.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, and it was a really interesting experience. But then she got sick, and I was like, I can't do this myself, obviously. And then we went into the summer, and so that all took went to the back burner. And so I still have the space though, and so I'm just like, well, I'll roast coffee in it. I'll make the donuts in it. We're gonna try to shift everything over to that space so we can really like just pump out wholesale donuts.
Yeah.
And we actually tried freezing a fresh donut when it was right out of the fryer and put it into a deep freezer, into a blast chiller, and it froze really well. And then we brought it back in an oven for it was like 10 minutes at 350, and I could see that being in grocery stores. Like, that's kind of like the next thing I want to really attack is having like, you go to the grocery store, you get 6 partially baked donuts or partially fried donuts. You put them in the oven, like with your kids, and you have the glaze packet already. Totally, and like, you make it with your kids, put it on Instagram, like all that shit. Yeah. And I think that could be a really cool thing. Like how people, do the home pizza kits and stuff,
totally.
'Cause our product is so delicate and so fresh that like after a day, these are nowhere near the the level of quality that we really
totally.
market towards people. And we don't want to put preservatives or anything in, so I think that's the only way we can do it. So we're going to try that, and then the nationwide coffee shipping and all the merch and stuff. And, I just had 2 guys sign on to the business. Johnny Shipes, he is the owner of Smokers Club and Cinematic Records. Just a fucking awesome dude. He kind of grew up out here, kind of grew up in the city, like went back and forth, like his family's from out here.
Yep.
And I think he's like 10 years older than me, and he's like at the level that I want to be with my business,
right?
But, with his business, like, and he's been an awesome mentor and has really like kind of led me. He's like, this is what we need to do. This is what we should pay attention to. Let's have weekly meetings and keep on track. And I'm pretty unorganized, so he's like a very organized dude.
Right.
And then he introduced me to this guy Brett Wright, the third Brett that I met this year, and Brett Wright started Vibe magazine and like is a beast at marketing. And so that those two have just. We're getting to like we're set to hit that next level. Like we're like, we have a focus, we have a plan.
Right.
Like, this is what we want to do. We want to be like the Tates of donuts.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, right. That's what you aim for.
Yeah. She crushed it.
Yeah, she did, and she got fucked over a lot.
Yep,
on the way. That's a cool story, man.
Well, that's kind of like why I like to highlight some of the fuck ups, because I think the human folly is really like the beautiful aspect of like what we're experiencing, and that's kind of like the little bit of the message. It's kind of why I titled it Artist of Life, because you are becoming the artist of your life by moving and shaking like this and creating your life to be exactly what you want. But it doesn't come. People think it's like like you said, some friends think you're lucky, but you create your own luck.
Yeah, that's true.
You do with things what you will when you're faced with adversity, and that adversity is ultimately, I think, setting you up for the bigger the adversity you have. I feel like the bigger success you have coming your way, is what it seems to kind of feel like. But
well, definitely, the more difficult something is, the more rewarding it ends up being.
For sure,
it's like I've been saying with like raising a family, like that's the most difficult fucking thing. It's difficult. Marriage is difficult, but it's super rewarding. Raising a kid is super difficult, incredibly rewarding. Anything that you can take on that just piles on fucking responsibility. Like, man, if you can do that, that's like the whole point, man. Is
I think so too.
Doing things that are difficult.
I think love and I think love is huge. I think if you even get to experience love one time, you're so fucking lucky. To actually feel that real love is such a huge blessing. And I got a lot of friends right now that like they're not in love. Like it's just having a summer in the Hamptons, let's say, and I think that it can really leave you pretty empty at the end of the day.
That's fleeting, man. That's not.
I love that you kind of came on and like talked about that aspect of life, because I think that people really aren't really apt to talk about that, and I think a lot of us do want that more than what we think. I think we do want love, and I think these guys that are maybe not settling into a certain thing is maybe they just haven't found the one, or whatever it may be. But I think that
a lot of people are afraid of commitment.
I think a lot of people are afraid of commitment, but also I think a lot of people it's a interesting conversation to have, especially as like early 30s conversation, because a lot of people are very freaked out by having a conversation about having a kid in a family. But I love that you
really
came
are.
on, I love that you came on and advocated for it, because
I hated the idea for so long, and then I kind of just fell backwards into it. And then
it like opened everything.
I was just like, holy shit, I'm so annoyed that I didn't do this sooner. I really am. Like, I'm really annoyed that I didn't do this. Like, maybe like not super young, but like 25, I feel like would have been a slightly better time. Yeah.
God, I know some 25-year-olds right now. I'm like, please don't procreate. Please don't procreate.
And maybe that's part of it. We definitely have a prolonged childhood right now.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, we're the prime spending demographic.
Yeah.
So like, dude, it's crazy when you know everyone in their 30s listening right now. You are the prime spending demographic. You are the thing that everyone is marketing towards. So when you sit,
this is why they're selling information.
Yeah, man. When I see shit that really appeals to me, I get annoyed now.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking Oregon Trail handheld game. That's awesome. I used to play that. Fuck you, man. Get that shit out of here. Like, I know what you're doing. You're playing to my nostalgia, and you're trying to get my money, and that's cool, I guess. Like, maybe help me recapture some of my childhood, but like, it's so manipulative, man. I hate it.
That game was so shitty.
Oh, it was so shitty. I just died of dysentery immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, and I bought it, man.
Yeah.
I have that thing. It's sitting in a drawer collecting dust right now.
Yeah.
You know, they got me.
They got you?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But, you know...
you ever buy anything out of Sky Mall?
Oh, no. I never... well, let me think. No, I can't say. I always wanted to. That was my favorite magazine when I was little.
That's actually awesome. Sky Mall.
Yeah, like they had all the weird gadgets and shit.
Oh,
and
they
all
got
the stupid shit that nobody needs.
Stairs for your dog at the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
You know, it's just some bullshit. Helicopter hat.
Yeah, it's like
spy cam glasses.
Yeah, what was Sharper Image, like that kind of store.
Right, yeah.
You know, like just shit that nobody needs.
Yeah.
But you want it.
You kind of want it a little bit.
Just get it.
Well, Kyle, I don't know. I think we covered a lot. Where can people find you on Instagram?
Well, I stay off of my personal one, so
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Grindstone Donuts at Grindstone Donuts, and you know, we're constantly updating that, and
you guys have a website?
Yeah, grindstonedonuts.com.
Any other platforms people can see?
Not really. We kind of piggyback Facebook onto that, but that's a dying platform, it seems.
Yeah.
So that's like the next MySpace.
Yeah, basically.
You can find us on MySpace.
//
on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
You know. Check out my info on AIM. Put up some song lyrics for my away message.
Yeah.
You know. Dude, that's the thing they got to come back with to get our nostalgia. Just
the music.
Bring back Instant Messenger, man. That's I would flock to that in a second. And I miss talking to people through AIM.
That's hilarious. You ever have a BlackBerry Messenger?
No, I missed that. That's awesome though.
Yeah, BBM I think it was called, BlackBerry Messenger.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good talking to you though, man.
No, this has been great. Honestly, we've never even met before this podcast. We literally met 10 minutes before we started doing this, and I guess I kind of wanted to highlight, like, just, you know, we really didn't even talk the most about business, but we ended up talking about a lot of other stuff. But I think that's just like the organic aspect of meeting somebody, and no, man, I'm really stoked to get to meet you and talk to you, and I would love to do this again with you actually. Maybe after you guys, you know, maybe if the ice cream thing takes off more.
After the next big step, for sure.
Or maybe we just, you know, we do this and just check in with each other, say what's up. I think this has been an interesting conversation on a lot of different levels.
Cool, I'm glad. I'd be definitely down. You know, I like talking to people, so that'd be cool.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to say?
No. Well, I'll just say hi to my wife and baby Emmy.
Yes.
Hi guys. I hope I didn't embarrass you too much.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did. She'll probably never watch it just because she knows I would embarrass her.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So but thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome, Kyle. Well, thank you, brother. Nice to meet you.
You too.
All right, man. Oh, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was a 3 hours podcast.
That's finally. You're the only one I've been able to have a 3-hour podcast.